last time you checked your home title. Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Monday, I'm thinking about America's relationship with Europe. That is the kind of boring guy I am. Now, President Trump says he wants the EU to prosper, but he also wants fair trade deals with our closest allies. Last week, the president hosted the leader of Ireland in the Oval Office. Mr. Trump softly chided his Irish counterpart, who took the jabs in good nature. Predictably, the Democrats used the friendly meeting to attack Trump's foreign policy. But here are a few examples of America's trade imbalance with Europe. Ireland, $80 billion. That means the Republic gets $80 billion more US dollars than we get euros from it. France, $15 billion. Austria, $11 billion. Italy, $40 billion. Sweden, $9 billion. Germany, $80 billion. So we're getting hosed across the board. And everybody knows that. But some people don't care. Then there's national defense. Americans spend $820 billion a year on the military. That's all taxpayer money. And it protects the EU. But over in Europe, Belgium spends 2% on its military. And Donald Trump wants 5% minimum from all European nations. Does that seem unreasonable to you? Back after this. Bill O'Reilly here. If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. I am Bill O'Reilly. For more news and honest analysis, please go to BillO'Reilly.com. No spin, just facts, and always looking out for you.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so, he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Good morning, freedom fighters. Kenny Williams, how you doing, baby?
Hey, Vic, welcome to a new week, my friend.
Yeah, Monday, lots to do today. Another Rock'em Sock'em show, thanks to Kenny. Rob Bluey coming up in a bit. That's crap. I don't know.
Just there's loads of crap. We should have a special loads of crap. That's crap.
That would be like, what would that be like? That would be like when you're playing, when you're on the pyramid show, right? $100,000 pyramid. So lots of crap will be when you go in the chair there and sit in the chair
real,
for the big money.
Right.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Stefan Padfield at it again, man. He's working hard. He is finding the terrible, disgusting things about DEI. He's going to tell us all about it. And also he wants to know, did Verizon defraud the FCC?
We'll have to find out.
Karen Kataline, Chris Arps, who's still in Israel, and another veteran today on Vic for Vets. Who's leading us today in the Pledge of Allegiance? Ken.
Captain Douglas Ernest.
Oh, we've had him on, right?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
My pleasure. To our fellow countrymen and women, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bluey. Good morning, Rob Bluey.
It's a beautiful day in Washington, D.C.
It's a busy Monday after a busy weekend. I'll tell you, this president never slows down, does he?
From the Heritage Foundation, of course, and president and executive editor of the Daily Signal.
There is going to be no shortage of news today.
Rob Bluey. Good morning, Rob Bluey, president and executive editor of the Daily Signal Heritage Foundation. How are you?
Good morning, Vic. I'm doing well today. How are you?
Good. All right. So there's so many things on my mind, Rob, and I guess I'd like to start with this guy who shot the lawmakers in Minnesota. What an enigma this story is, right? Because he was appointed by Tim Walz, and he had no King's leaflets in his car, and somehow this guy is a raging MAGA Republican.
Yeah, I mean, it is confounding. First of all, just, prayers go out to the victims in this particular case.
Yeah.
I think as Christians, we need to first and foremost, recognize the people who are suffering as a result of the lives that were cut short far too early. But as we now learn more details about the individual, the suspect, it is confusing, because you would think that, as in the case of most political appointees, they would come from the party of the governor, in this case Tim Walz being a Democrat. You'd also think that the information that was initially released about the No Kings protest that was taking place on Saturday, and the fact that there was just a lot of attention and maybe a heightened political situation in communities across the country. I mean, we certainly had it here in the Washington, D.C. area. And so, yeah, it's going to be an interesting week to see as more information comes out. I do hope in this particular case, and even in the case of President Trump's, 2 assassination attempts, I still feel like in those 2 situations last year, Vic, we don't have as much information about what the motive was and why those attempted assassination attempts took place. And so I hope that we can learn more in this particular case and do our part to prevent situations like this from happening in the future.
Yeah, I mean, it's so every day there's a new enigma that we can't figure out. All right, so now let's move on to the 250th anniversary of the Army Parade on Saturday. It also happens to be Flag Day, 250th anniversary of the Army, and it was Donald Trump's birthday, and the left decides to say, oh, he just wants a parade for his birthday because he's Hitler, right? So here's the thing about that. No Kings, right? The No Kings rally, because Donald Trump thinks he's a king. So on the Today Show, they didn't say anything about that, but let's go to England, where they're having a parade with an actual king in the parade, and they love that. They celebrate that.
Well, Vic, there's so much to say about this, because number one, this is legitimately the first celebration of America's 250th birthday. Obviously, the Army formed a year ahead of time before the Declaration of Independence, which we will celebrate next year in 2026. And if the left is going to react to all of these patriotic events in the same way, boy, there's not a sharper contrast between conservatives and liberals in this country than those who love to celebrate the victories, not only of America's military, but just the greatness of our country and all of the values that we celebrate. I thought Trump's response to the No Kings protest was beautiful, where he said he thanked them for coming out and revealing the fact that he was their legitimately elected president and not a king. So he was trying to poke fun and have some humor there. But ultimately, I think that those who were griping about the parade, I mean, as somebody who remembers the last time that the military had a parade, which was, I think, after Operation Desert Storm in the early 90s. I mean, it has been a couple of generations, but between celebrating our armed forces. We should be doing it on a much more regular basis. And I'm glad that Donald Trump decided to do this. Certainly the 250th anniversary was a worthy occasion.
Well, Rob, about these, what is it, the King's Day? Whatever, I don't even remember what they call it, but it's basically what it was a crying session that they were able to create for all the people who were never Trumpers and people who didn't vote for Donald Trump. And the morning, of course, national television shows said it was over 5 million people that attended. That is such bull. I can't even believe they would even say that. Do you have any idea how many people actually did show up to these things?
Well, I don't know the total number. I can tell you that that as I was driving around Northern Virginia on Saturday morning, what I noticed that a lot of people were standing on overpasses on the bridge, and they had signs draped over, the fence with "No Kings" and other colorful language. And so, clearly to me, this was an organized effort. I always hesitate to accuse anyone of astroturfing, but this did not seem to be the organic type of event that you would expect to see. In fact, if you looked at the groups who were responsible for it, including Randy Weingarten from the American Federation of Teachers and other left-wing groups like Indivisible, which is funded by George Soros, there was clearly an effort to coordinate the activities across the country and to get however many, whether it was millions or whether it was just hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands. I don't know the precise number, but what I can tell you this is I don't think that this was an effort that people just sprung up organically. I'm also not saying that they were paid to do this, but there were fairly significant left-wing groups, including major unions, that were responsible for pulling this together.
Well, we reported ads that said we'll pay you to come to this parade, whatever it was.
There you go. I mean, we see it all of the time. In fact, I believe I told you last week as we were talking on Monday that there was a protest outside of our building, and in this particular case, I mean, the individuals who spend days staking out a particular spot, you just have to think that somebody must be giving them something in order for them to do it. I just don't see who has the desire necessarily to camp out and protest for those periods of time. So I'm sure that there were probably some, particularly the organizers that were trying to recruit others to do it. But look, there is the hatred for Donald Trump in this country. We've seen it on display for 10 years now since he descended on that escalator in New York City, and it's certainly a situation that the left, I think, will have a hard time overcoming. They don't want to see him as president, and they're going to do everything in their power to oppose the policies that he champions.
So, a couple of things. The local news station here in St. Louis, KSDK Channel 5, NBC affiliate, they send people out to cover. They sent Mercedes McKay out to cover the No Kings rally, right? And they're so ignorant to actually what's happening in America that they put on the screen people with signs that said 8647. And I'm sorry, is that not violent rhetoric?
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. I mean, there were that's what I said about colorful signs. I'm not sure I saw any of those particular ones when I was in our area, Vic. But clearly, people. That's what I mean about just the the fact that not only Donald Trump enjoys a popular mandate, but if you look at his approval ratings, I mean, it's still well over 50%. I mean, and in this day and age when our country is divided, to have a 52% approval, which is the number I saw on Friday, I think says a lot. And if you look at some of his policies, I mean, the policies themselves are even more popular than Trump the person. And so you do have what I think is probably a small number of individuals who harbor this resentment toward Trump, and they will use derogatory, profane, and other language against him. And it's too bad, because I think that ultimately what Trump is trying to do is bring back some of the great things in our country. I mean, he wants the American people, regardless of your political views, to be able to live the good life. And sadly, over the course of the last generation or so, we've been increasingly unable to do that, in part because of the number of illegal aliens who are entering our country, the fact that crime rates are up in cities, the fact that we had a huge spike in the cost of living under Joe Biden. And so all of those things are starting to reverse. It's going to take more than a few months to be able to do that. And fortunately, we're seeing some of the positive results.
But the reporting, Rob, it's the reporting, especially reporting by local reporters who don't know anything of what's going on. They haven't taken an extra step to dig into anything. I'll bet you didn't even realize what 8647 meant. Maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Well, James Comey doesn't know what it means.
Well, right. And he should. And maybe this girl does. I don't know. But what she was saying, right, in front of the camera and voiceover over the No Kings rally here in St. Louis. And what I was looking at, 86-47 signs, they didn't match up what she was saying. And what I saw didn't match up. Oh, peaceful. 86-47 is not a peaceful phrase.
No, they may as well kill the president.
Right. It was kill Trump.
The president must be dead. Whatever.
Good call, Kenny.
Absolutely. And as we started this conversation, with the terrible tragedies in Minnesota, I mean, we are at a time where, and as we saw twice last year, individuals go too far in terms of the rhetoric. And by the way, it's the political leaders as well. I think you have situations like Senator from California, Alex Padilla, storming, the press conference last week with Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. I mean, these are supposed to be role models, these political leaders, and the way that they are behaving, particularly those on the left, and some of the rhetoric that we've had. I mean, you've played the clip of Chuck Schumer on the show before. I mean, it's Supreme Court justices. I mean, it is dangerous, some of the language that they use.
Yes. So I also, first of all, with the Padilla thing, he was shouting. I don't care if he was shouting that he was a senator or what his name was. He was shouting not during the question and answer part of Kristi Noem's press conference. It was just her opening comments. So everything Democrats say, the opposite is true. I don't know what else to say about
right. And Vic, did you see that Kristi Noem actually spent 15 minutes with him after the event? I mean,
what the hell? That wasn't.
Yeah, they didn't report that, Rob.
Right, they didn't report that, but I mean, that was like one thing. I mean, it just goes to show that here she is, trying to be accommodating even to a belligerent senator like Alex Padilla. Amazing.
Well,
it's a trap. It was a trap.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like Vic said last week, it was a trap. This guy, all he had to do was wait until she was finished, stand there. I'm a senator. I'd like to have a couple of questions for you, please. And that would have been it. They would have said, okay, great, let's go. But no, he didn't do that. He rushed her and the people around him in light, Rob, in fact, of what we've been going through with Donald Trump, the assassination attempts on him. We're really kind of like it's a very delicate situation now.
Of course. Well, I don't know if you guys saw. I mean, I should have mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the protests outside of our building. There were 2 security guards who were pepper sprayed in the eyes by an individual who was charged with 2 counts of 2 misdemeanors for assault. I mean, there again, like these things are happening every single day, and so it's no surprise that if you're at a press conference and you have somebody acting like this, that security is going to react forcefully to try to prevent somebody from being injured. And so I applaud all of the security who are in a position to step up and take these actions. But yeah, it's getting wild out there. Fortunately, hopefully, we'll have some good news coming out of Congress this week. Things are moving forward on Trump's agenda, and despite the differences in all of the rhetoric, it seems that the Republicans on Capitol Hill are still getting things done, and that's the important thing. We need to keep focused on getting Trump's agenda in place.
Yeah, we don't really have time to dig into it anymore because I want to bring something else up with you, and we're already out of time. But they chose a relatively unknown senator, right, Alex Padilla, and they had to make sure the senator was a brown-skinned man, so it totally looks like racism when they hate immigrants, right? Okay, so this Israel-Iran thing, we're kind of connected now because our afternoon guy, Chris Arps, went to Israel and was there when the first rockets came into Israel. And he called us from a bomb shelter, Rob. He's our afternoon guy, and he's still trapped in Israel. We're going to talk to him in about an hour, but he's still there.
Yeah, I've heard other stories of individuals who've been able to get out and others who are still stranded there. Certainly a tense situation. But I will say this: it seems that Israel is taking care of business, and we should all be grateful that they're able to destroy the nuclear technology that Iran has been able to amass, because it certainly would pose a threat to the United States and other allies in the region. But yeah, in the meantime, Vic, I pray for him and everybody else who's trying to get home.
Yeah.
All right, Rob Bluey, who is the president and executive editor of the Daily Signal, and he's from the Heritage Foundation. Rob, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
See you, Rob.
Look at Rob hitting the post.
I know.
What do you think he's? Okay. So that's crap coming up next. Sometimes, Ken, you know what? I want to fit two things into the That's Crap segment, if that's okay.
Let's try, yeah.
Our contestant that we talked about, and also proof. Jasmine Crockett has proven that you can be a complete idiot and still be a U.S. representative.
Again? She proved it again?
The most ever. I think the most ever.
All right.
All right. That's what coming up next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show
Think about what you'd think about at the time.
on News Talk STL. This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K at O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
I've got a great evening planned for you. We start with dining at the Oak Street Inn Lounge in Connellville. We enjoy sunset on the rooftop, then down to the Speakeasy. Just one visit, you're going to see why I'm always talking about the Oak Street Inn and Lounge. Plus, you might want to plan a staycation, a romantic getaway. Check out OakStreetInnandLounge.com for various events this summer. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville. Oak Street Inn and Lounge, Cottleville.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Vic and Ken. Ken can dunk a basketball. Vic can dunk a donut. The Vic Porcelli Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The home of the JC's Wayback Machine, Saturday night, 6 to 9 o'clock. Great music, like Sniffing the Tears.
Yeah.
I don't hear Sniffing the Tears on local radio.
Uh-uh.
So JC will throw that in for you. Maybe we'll make a request and see what he can do. All right, busy day today for a Monday. Is it a busy day for a Monday?
It's really busy, yeah.
Oh my God. Chris Arps still trapped in Israel.
Yeah.
And right now, the Israeli airport, I think there's more than one, but I think the first time any airport in Israel has been closed for this amount of time.
Yeah.
So how's Chris going to get home?
We didn't really touch on it either, but I really have to hand it to the Israelis for taking care of business. They are supposedly dominating the air right now over Iran.
Not to mention, Ken, they've been in Iran planting stuff, bombs and what they did. Oh my God. One time I saw one video where Israel is sending fake bomber jets, nobody in it, just a jet. And when the air fire goes to get that plane, now Israel knows where it's coming from and they know where to bomb.
Wow.
Isn't that smart?
That's really smart.
They're so smart. And the whole phone blow up thing, that was great. Karen Kataline, we'll talk to her at 10:05. Just lots to do today, including everybody's favorite game show, That's Crap.
Welcome to That's Crap. It's the game where we find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. Here's the host of That's Crap, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Jim Modulin. Good morning, studio audience. Hey, look, Ken, they love you.
They love you, Vic.
Cheering for Ken Williams. All right. So it's a game where we find out if it's the truth or if that's crap. A game could not be easier to win, right?
Right.
All you got to do is tell the truth and you win, right? A copy of our home game, year's supply of turtle wax, something like that. So our contestant today is a U.S. representative. He is the House Minority Leader. His name is Hakeem Jeffries. Does that sound like Rush or not?
Sounds good.
They were making fun of me Friday.
I think it's a nice tribute.
I think so too. Ken, thank you very much. Talking about working Americans and how Donald Trump is just killing people with his policies. Ken, put 30 seconds on the clock. Hakeem Jeffries, good luck.
To push back against the reckless Republican efforts to jam this GOP tax scam down the throats of the American people, the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, on top of the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history, literally ripping food out of the mouths of children, seniors, and veterans. And all of it is being done to give massive tax breaks to GOP billionaire donors. That's unacceptable. There's an attack on the American way of life, an attack on the rule of law, an attack on democracy itself.
Listen, why are you laughing at that?
It's good. Well, let's talk about it. I'll tell you.
Listen. Linda.
So,
a couple of things he said. We're going to give him every opportunity for him to win. That's crap. Okay?
Okay.
Number one, he said it's the largest cut in Medicaid in history. You know why? Because there's the largest amount of fraud, Medicaid fraud in history.
And that's all we're cutting.
That's math. That's
all it is.
Donald Trump's billionaire friend. You know what's funny, Ken? Jesse and I did DoorDash over the weekend, Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
And you know who delivered it? One of Donald Trump's billionaire buddies.
Really?
Yep.
Well, then that's the reason why he's cutting all those tips.
Right.
And overtime.
No tax on tips.
Or overtime.
For overtime.
For those billionaires.
For Donald Trump's billionaire buddies. And then, okay, this is just I'm going to say this, right? If you heard the clip and you know me at all, you know what I'm going to say. Literally. Play it again.
All right.
God almighty. I just can't.
Literally ripping food out of the mouths of children, seniors.
Literally ripping food out of the mouths of children. Now, I understand he's being hyperbolic, right? Metaphoric. But, God, could you guys in the media please use the word literal, right?
Literally ripping food out of the mouths of children, seniors, and veterans.
I can just see Donald Trump walking down the street. Look at that baby. He's chewing on food. Rip the food out of his mouth.
Right.
Come here. Give me that. Literally ripping the food out of the kids and veterans and seniors' mouths.
Does he understand what he's saying there?
I'm a senior. Do you know what happened to me over the weekend?
He didn't.
Donald Trump came to my house.
Did he?
Literally ripped the food out of my mouth. I'm eating my favorite meal, Aglio olio for Father's Day. He rips it out, rips all the food. I'm like, hey, put it back in my mouth.
Rips the food. Rips children from the arms of their mothers. Rips people from their loved ones.
Literally.
I mean, that's what they literally say every time.
See what you did there?
Ripping.
See what you did there. They literally say that all the time.
They literally do.
All right. Sorry, Hakeem. Is that his name? Hakeem.
Jeffries.
That's crap. Ken, something has to be done about the left, who are losing, by the way. Every day they're losing more and more, don't you think?
Oh, yes.
They have to. I can't say it. They have to tell the truth. I can't say it because that's not true. They don't have to tell the truth.
Well, actually, I think we need to play the game they play. I think we need to admit that what they're saying is good for us. I mean, we need to let them keep going and doing what they're doing because, Vic, Donald Trump's numbers keep going up.
Right.
And this is something that I want everybody to understand here that's listening right now, is that when you see on the news, 5 million people showed up for the No Kings protest, whatever it was. That's not true. And most people in America right now are satisfied or happy with what's going on.
And the guy who shot the lawmakers in Minnesota was a MAGA right-wing total maniac
who had no King's flyers in his car.
So how does that square, Ken? How does that square when they're saying that he's and did you see the next door neighbor, the guy that weighed 800 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't like he likes Jim Biden. He said Jim Biden. He didn't say Joe Biden. He liked Jim Biden, and he didn't like Jim Biden. He's a Trump supporter, Trump fan. Really?
Yeah, it's amazing that the narrative continues with the media.
Yep.
And you just can't believe what the mainstream media is telling you. I'm sorry. We're monitoring it, everybody, and we're looking at the facts, and they're not giving you the facts.
And they still get to try to push off their credibility, those little 30-second NBC News on the ground, in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
number one in news,
Yeah.
number one in truth and facts.
And now this new guy, have you seen this new guy that took over for Lester Holt?
No.
His name is Lamas, I think. LLA. I'm sure it's Yamas. But, all right. So that's that. So I have something else to say, but it's not a part of that scrap. So I'd like to say that is all the time we have for that scrap.
This is Jim Modulin speaking for That's Crap, a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman radio production.
Thank you, Jim Modulin. This is Vic Porcelli saying, help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody. All right, before we go on to something that just absolutely astounds me, Ken sent me something over the weekend on X. And wait, where is it, Ken? Oh, maybe it's I get two different sources from Ken. Ken, Jessica, and I are all in the same kind of messaging thing on X, and then you and I want to. So Ken sends me one that says, forget dogs and cats, spay and neuter your liberals. I'm like, does everybody have to steal from us?
Right.
We've been saying that from the very beginning of the show.
I know.
On Fridays after the Wheel of Audio, we always say, help control the liberal population. Have your liberal spayed or neutered. This way you have less liberals running around.
Right.
All right, Kenny, I'm going to need number 13.
Yeah.
Because this, ladies and gentlemen, just proves that you and your children and your grandchildren can grow up to be anything they want. They can even get elected as a U.S. representative and be this stupid. Here is from St. Louis, Representative Jasmine Crockett.
That has been killed, and if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers, and that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we gonna have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person.
So white supremacy needs to be talked about because it's destroying this country. I mean, she didn't give any examples, but it is, Vic.
Can you play it again?
Yeah.
That has been killed, and if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers, and that is the problem.
Every illegal immigrant is going out and killing people. Is that what you're saying?
I think she's trying to say that that's what
should be an ironic.
I think.
That has been killed, and if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers, and that is the problem.
Is that the end of the cut?
But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we gonna have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person.
So this is what I hear her saying is that the problem is that the 20 plus million illegals that are here, and some of which could be in sleeper cells ready to attack. It's the darn white supremacists that are destroying this nation with all the attacks.
She's also marginalizing the death of Lake and Riley.
Oh, totally.
And girls like that who were raped and murdered by illegal aliens, okay? And white supremacy, even on the Today Show or NBC News or ABC News, is there ever a headline, white supremacists kill some black people? I never see that.
No.
So what are they talking about?
I have no idea.
Joe Biden said white supremacy was an existential threat to this country.
Right. Correct.
I never see a news story that says that is true.
No, you haven't seen examples. That's why I was being facetious.
Ken, being facetious.
I was being facetious.
I'm done. Okay, it's a Monday, and the people we have on this show, the people that can get on this show, are just absolutely working hard to prove that the left are a bunch of maniacs. DEI hypocrisy. And did Verizon defraud the FCC? We'll talk to Stefan Padfield from the National Center for Public Policy Research about that next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. On the next Larry Connors USA.
My guest today, never Trumper John LaBoutiere. This is one interview you don't want to miss.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor for all your roofing needs. Visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com.
Whoosh.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
All right, here's what I think happened in the Democrat Party before DEI was a thing. They got together and they said, okay, here's what we're going to do, okay? We're going to call it diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this way, we can give more jobs to people who are minorities and things like that. And then when the right calls somebody a DEI hire, we can call them a racist.
Right.
So they try to cover all the bases, corner the market. Stefan Padfield from the National Center for Public Policy Research researches things like that. Stefan, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be here. How are you?
Did I say anything inaccurate there?
No, I mean, I've been saying for a while now that we really do need to tip our hat to the leftists for their use of words and language and terminology. I mean, as you say, who could be against diversity and inclusion. It's only when you look under the hood that you start to see how pernicious and I would say correctly identified as neo-Marxist and neo-racist these policies really are.
And then when we commend what they're doing, right, and say, hey, look at Karine Jean-Pierre. She's a DEI hire. Oh, well, you're a racist. Right? We can't win.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, there's so many hypocrisies, right? And I think what brought me to your show today is one in particular where what we're seeing right now is corporations basically not knowing which way to turn on these issues anymore. So one minute they're having these pronouncements saying we are backing away from DEI, if not outright ending it. And literally within 24 hours, you hear some pronouncement from another executive or director making sure they're appeasing, their leftist stakeholders or agitators with some statement that we are definitely not backing away from DEI in any way. It's utterly unsustainable.
And when they do that, when they say, okay, yeah, we'll play the DEI game, we'll play the diversity game. I always use Disney. I'm sure there's more examples, but Disney says, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's have gay characters in cartoons, right? And all these DEI looking like they were hires. And then when they lose money, well, whose fault is that? I mean, the taxpayers, the shareholders are the ones who suffer.
That's right. And, it's funny, you will often see the blame game point to anyone who's not going to watch the movie as some kind of ick or ist, right? Well, it's not that we have a bad movie because we prioritized wokeness and, discrimination ahead of good storytelling. No, it's because the consumers are all racist and homophobic and whatever else label you want to throw on it. So there's a real avoidance or denial of the reality that, no, the problem is that you have taken your one job. You had one job to produce good entertainment, and you've decided to make that your third or fourth priority and elevated wokeness in all its various forms to the top. And now you're surprised that people just don't want anything to do with that.
I don't know if you guys have seen there's a screenshot of the girl who played Snow White in the most recent live action Snow White. And the way her mouth looks like Popeye, So somebody put her in a Popeye uniform and a hat and a pipe in his mouth. Oh my God.
Memes are funny.
It was so bad. It was such a bad movie. All right, let's talk about Verizon. Did they defraud the FCC, Stefan?
Right. This is the question. So we now have a government in place, right, by way of President Trump that is prioritizing adhering to the law in the form of not discriminating on the basis of race and sex, whereas previously we had an administration that was all in on discriminating on the basis of race and sex in pursuit of this DEI agenda. And so basically every part of government is focused, at least in part, on this. And so we had Verizon get approval for an acquisition, and in part that approval turned on a commitment by Verizon to walk back at least some of its DEI agenda and initiatives, right? And they did that, and they basically made all the proper announcements. And then you literally had an example of what I was just, talking about, where some board member was basically caught on tape at some conference saying, oh, yeah, when we deal with Trump, we just have to use different language. So we don't say DEI, but let me assure you, absolutely nothing has changed about our DEI program, right? Wow. I mean, it's kind of amazing how they'll just tell you what they're doing if you let them talk enough. So it raises the question. Now, is it possible that, both things are true, that Verizon only walked back a little bit and this guy was talking about what's left? I mean, again, it's possible, but I think it raises serious issues about what's going on. And so certainly this was one of the points of the op-ed I did. I also submitted the question at the Verizon meeting, and they gave some, very sort of business speak non-answer. So I would love to see that it be investigated a little more, right? I mean, certainly we have people in positions of power now who could do that sort of investigation. Now, what's really interesting, I don't know if you've caught the recent news about Lockheed Martin, because in my piece, I cite Lockheed as an example of doing things the right way, right? Coming out very strongly in favor of meritocracy and against these diversity initiatives that are basically social engineering. And yet Christopher Rufo just broke a story from a whistleblower basically showing how explicitly Lockheed discriminated on the basis of race in particular, but race and sex, in handing out bonuses and other employment-related initiatives. Now, again, both things could be true. They could have been doing that in the past, and now they're a better actor. But one thing is clear, if you had executives with knowledge and power, and it looks like you did, expressly discriminating on the basis of race and sex, they need to be held accountable, even while we support businesses that are walking back DEI, right? Just real quick, we had our proposal at Target come up. We were highlighting some of their affirmative action initiatives, but we spent our 3 minutes defending them for their, their walking back of DEI, because they're getting some backlash for that, although it looks like it's all AstroTurf. So we do want to support the companies that are doing the right thing and getting back to neutral, but we also need to hold accountable the actors who basically knowingly allowed this discrimination in the DEI, in the name of DEI, to fester within their corporations.
All right. So we're talking to Stefan Padfield from the Public Policy National Center for Public Policy Research. I want to make sure I got one thing straight here, Stefan, because I'm a little confused. You were involved in the virtual Verizon shareholder meeting just May 22nd, less than a month ago, and you asked a question about DEI, and then your final question was, should shareholders be worried? And you're saying they gave a non-answer to the shareholders who were on the call?
Yeah, so this is so common. There's my most recent op-ed is sort of digging into this whole issue of the extent to which these virtual meetings, which became all the rage, understandably during COVID, right? But the way that they allow corporations to essentially stiff arm the shareholders that they're supposedly responsive to. So first of all, when you're a shareholder of any amount, you get to attend the virtual meeting. You put in the number you got with your proxy card, and you get to go to the meeting, and you get to submit a question. However, by experience, our allies' experience, a lot of times those questions just get ignored and never get answered. And then when they do occasionally get picked up, you'll get just platitudes, right? So that's essentially what we got again, was just, this sort of, we are committed to, inclusivity and, no direct answer to like, well, what happened here? Like, why is this board member saying nothing changed and that you essentially are lying to President Trump while you're, touting these changes to the FCC? Nothing in response to that. So this is part of the reason why we have to, even with all the positive wins that we've had in this space, we have to keep the pressure on. There is still so much work to be done. Everything from, the CEO at Costco, who is just overtly doubling down on DEI, to the ones that are just making cosmetic changes and hope you don't notice that they're still all in on the agenda, right? Across the board, we have to celebrate the wins. We have to reward the companies that are getting back to neutral and doing the right thing. But we also have to keep the pressure on and the spotlight on the companies that are, basically talking out of both sides of their face.
And this is pretty much in line with what you just said, Stefan. If Trump's policies don't have teeth, then they're not going to pay any attention to them. And my point is in these investigations, you mentioned investigations that the Trump administration does with these. Do they actually send people physically into those companies and look at their books? I mean, what do they do? Because it seems to me that if they don't do that, and if they just let it, slap them on the wrist, then they're not going to do anything different anyway.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. So there are a number of tools available to get into the companies and look at their books and records. So, for example, we have filed actions and are currently filing an action against United to assess whether or not they were engaged in some sort of anti-Semitism when they stopped their flights to Israel. Those shareholder suits allow for an examination of books and records, and that can be quite extensive and including emails as part of the discovery process, even whether it's a lawsuit or just a books and records request. So that's on the civil shareholder side. And then certainly the Department of Justice, EEOC, right, they can go in and make similar sorts of requests. And a lot of times it'll just be simply like, look, either cooperate or we can start pursuing a formal investigation. I think the bottom line here is that eventually somebody's going to have to pay in a tangible way for what looks to have been just overt law breaking overt discrimination, right, in the name of DEI. And whether that be some director or officer having to dig into their own pocket to pay money, which almost never happens because of all the exculpation clauses and DEO insurance, right? And there are good reasons for that. But somebody actually having to pay a meaningful sum of money out of their own pocket or actually go to jail, right? That's not off the table. And I do have hope that we will see some of that accountability, because as long as it's just, like you say, a slap on the wrist, or we're using shareholder money to pay the fine or whatever, the concern is that they're just going to go right back to this racist stuff the minute the administration changes, potentially, right? So we need that. The other thing I'm very interested in is a lot of these companies engaged in these activities under the cover of law firms who were all in on this ideology. And I think the minute you put the screws to some executive or director and threaten actual damages, they're going to throw their law firms under the bus. And I think we're going to find some culpability there where it goes beyond just reasonable legal advice, but actually advancing an agenda and literally breaking the law.
Yep. So what if, let's just play a game of what if here, Stefan. What if these companies like Verizon weren't public? What if they were private and they realized that these DEI things are hurting their business and now it's just hurting him? He doesn't have to worry about shareholders. Would they do the same thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's an issue from a corporate governance perspective more broadly. The whole cost-benefit balancing on whether to stay private or be public, right, is constantly debated. We certainly have fewer public companies, both because of the costs of going public and also just because we have, companies swallowing up other companies. So there's less of them. The question of the extent to which this sort of discrimination would go on in the public versus private, certainly the private company is less subject to the sorts of pressure that the public companies are on some level. On the other hand, it may actually be easier, right, for the ideologues to creep in and try to get away with what they're doing with less disclosure, right? So I don't have a great answer to that, but I do think that certainly with our public companies, we need to use the fact that they have to make disclosures and that they tell you what they're doing to some extent, because otherwise they'll get in trouble for lying in their disclosures. We have to make full use of that, and that takes time, energy, resources, and so we just have to keep very busy holding these companies accountable.
All right. Finally, are you following the World Series of Poker at all?
Yes, I am. When I get a minute or two, love all the action. I keep waiting for some wealthy benefactor to say what the world needs now is for Stefan Padfield to be able to do an entire summer at the World Series, playing every event. But that has yet to happen.
So a friend of mine, Greg Cook, mistakenly entered into the Omaha 8 or better tournament and came in fourth and won 65 grand.
I love it. Now, did he at least know the rules?
Oh, absolutely. Kidding me? This guy knows everything.
Playing just Omaha.
Right. And you know, all right, we're going to talk over people's heads. I don't really want to do that. But so Texas Hold'em, everybody, right?
Yeah.
You get 2 cards. Omaha, you get 4 cards.
Oh, okay.
But you can only use 2 of those cards, and you have to use 2 of those cards. You can't use 1, can't use 3, can't use 4. You got to use 2.
Oh.
Tough game. And then to make it harder, the high-low part is if you have the worst hand, the lowest hand, you win half the pot. But it has to qualify with an 8 or better. Anyway, yeah, he knew. He's good, and I'll be watching. I'm sure you will too.
That's fantastic. I love it. Yes, if I see that stream, I will definitely pick up on it.
Fantastic. Stefan, you're doing great stuff, man.
Yeah,
Keep
really,
it up
man.
with these guys. Don't let them breathe for a minute. Stefan Padfield at Stefan Padfield on X and at National Center on X and nationalcenter.org. All right, man. Till next time. Thank you so much, Stefan.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
I love that he loves poker.
That's cool. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And he asked, does Greg know how to play Omaha? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he knows how to play Omaha 8. All right, when we get back, our Jewish friend Karen Kataline. We got to ask her about what she's thinking about this whole Israeli-Iran thing, right?
Yeah.
That's next on 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Another RX Watch, brought to you by Onder Law. There's an evil new twist in the tragic story of baby powder and its link to ovarian cancer. Recently uncovered documents reveal that talc can contain asbestos.
The same asbestos that we know causes mesothelioma.
Right, and ovarian cancer.
In the 1970s, the industry wrote its own rules, allowing Johnson & Johnson to claim that its talc was asbestos-free, as long as it contained less than 1% asbestos.
Of course, Johnson & Johnson helped write those rules. So while we're using hazmat suits to remove the asbestos from our homes, Johnson & Johnson was telling women it's safe for their bodies.
Unbelievable. So if you've used talcum powder for feminine hygiene and contracted ovarian cancer, call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH.
They've already won several large verdicts against Johnson & Johnson for women just like you.
Call Onder Law at 1-800-RX-WATCH. That's 1-800-RX-WATCH or go to rxwatch.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
KLDY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The 57-year-old man wanted in last week's shootings of two Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses, scheduled for a court hearing later today. One of the lawmakers and her spouse were killed. The suspect, Vance Bolter, was arrested last evening.
Multiple agencies were there as FBI laid hands on it and Minnesota State Patrol put the handcuffs on.
Governor Tim Walz says Bolter was arrested in rural Sibley County, southwest of Minneapolis. Former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed in their Brooklyn Park home early Saturday. Senator John Hoffman, also a Democrat, and his wife Yvette were injured at their home about 9 miles away. They are expected to recover. Israel has warned civilians in parts of Tehran to clear out. The Israelis apparently planning an attack. At least 8 people died overnight in Israel as a result of Iranian missile strikes. Israel says it has achieved aerial superiority over Tehran, can fly over the Iranian capital without facing any major threats. Now, the ongoing conflict will be high on the agenda of the G7 summit taking place in Alberta, Canada.
I think the G7 is going to be tested because there is a war between sworn enemies who see their side of the argument as existential. The question, of course, will be not can the Europeans come up with a united position to try and put some influence on the conflict. The key question will be, can the Europeans and the other leaders that are here put some pressure or encourage or shape some of the thinking in Donald Trump? He is the only person who has potential influence and leverage over the Israelis.
The BBC's James Landale says Mr. Trump is now in Alberta for that G7 summit. Rally underway on Wall Street this morning. The Dow up 487 points. NASDAQ ahead almost 300 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mike Gallagher here, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. If you know me, you know I only put my name behind people and companies I trust. When it comes to mortgages, I trust Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. They're not just friends. They've done loans for me, my family. I've seen firsthand how they treat every client like their family. And these days, that personal touch really matters. With the cost of everything up, you might be looking for ways to free up cash. Maybe you're thinking about a cash-out refi or HELOC to finish some home projects, consolidate debt, or just get ahead financially. Fellowship is a full-service direct lender, not a broker. They cut out the middleman. That means faster decisions, fewer fees, and less stress. Whether you're buying your first home, downsizing, or refinancing to get some breathing room, they'll tailor fit the loan to your life. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 8.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by by Onder Law. Call for a free consultation because winning is what we do at Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000000. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Spotty showers and a few thunderstorms around the St. Louis metro area today, but steadier and heavier rain is more likely to the south. Humidity continues to hang fairly high today, up to 84 this afternoon. Light wind out of the south and southeast. Partly cloudy overnight, looking mainly dry, down to 71. Tuesday looks toasty. Partly cloudy with a high of 91, a muggy one. Storms likely Wednesday, and some of those storms could be on the strong to severe side. We'll keep a close eye on that. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Vic Porcelli.
Come on, you're Italian. You understand.
Every day is a busy day all of a sudden.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Tough and smart, and I love Italian, so he's definitely Italian.
At least I have this show to come and talk about it and let some stuff up.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on here today?
The Vic Porcelli Show.
All right, hour number 2 of our 3-hour tour, Vic for Vets, coming up at 11:05 today. Another great veteran. I love that we're doing this Vic for Vets thing.
I love it.
Because nobody remembers the vets and all these protests and everything. You never see, hey, get this homeless veteran off the street.
Right.
So that's coming up at 11:05.
And it's a whole month of supporting and honoring veterans.
Isn't that what people have asked for?
Yeah.
Why don't veterans get a whole month? Well, there you go.
There you go.
Our afternoon guy, Chris Arps, is still trapped in Israel. We'll talk to Karen Kataline about Israel and Chris Arps. I don't even know if they know each other, but that's all next right now. I mean,
No.
The one and only Karen Kataline.
Did you know that I'm married to a trucker? I feel like using a Yiddish word, famished. Spoiling in front of my computer, I am. They're just too dumb to lie. He has the effect of 6 shots of scotch.
My goodness, 6 shots. Good morning, Karen Kataline.
Good morning to both of you. I'm so happy to be with you.
Yeah, we
missed you.
I am.
Now, listen.
I don't. Yeah.
2 things. I didn't want to play anything funny right now because nothing funny is going on in Israel and stuff. So I just wanted to not do that. When things get a little better, we'll do some Mel Brooks.
You have such good sense
I'm trying
about these things.
And also, Friday would have been a great day to talk to you, but I didn't know how because you would have said, yeah, even if you were like in all this pain and stuff, So that's the only reason we didn't. I might understand that.
So, Ken, I appreciate that. I was going to ask you to say, I don't know why you have me on. There's never anything to talk about.
Right? Never. Nothing Jewy.
Nothing going on.
Nothing Israeli.
Not only the Jewish, but the everything all over in every corner of the world. Where do you begin?
All right. So listen.
But it's an honor and a pleasure.
I had a conversation with our afternoon guy, Chris Arps, when he said, "Yeah, I'm going to." It was Chris Arps because he was with wait, what? Or was I on? I don't know. Anyway, Chris Arps, our afternoon guy, was in the studio, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to Israel." And I said, "I'm sorry, why? Why are you going there?" He goes, "Well, I want to touch the wall and do all that stuff." I said, "But why?" I couldn't understand why, and I was right.
And he went before all this happened.
Yes.
We
talked. Yes, he's still stuck there. We talked to him. He was in a bomb shelter, Karen.
Oh my. Well, a lot of the Israelis in general are in bomb shelters right now.
And I learned about bomb shelters in Israel with Chris being there, that hotels all have bomb shelters in the basement. Bus stops have bomb shelters. I mean, these poor people.
Too bad that that's so necessary. But as you can see, it is.
Yep.
It is necessary.
Yep.
One of the things that is totally going to be missed, among everything else by the leftist propaganda media, is the obvious difference between targeting nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction that can kill innocent people, and the other side that actually targets civilians. And isn't it interesting that people just accept that as a basic and they don't even challenge it? Well, of course, the Iranians and the terrorist state is going to target civilians. We expect that, and we wouldn't expect anything else of them. We never demand anything of them, it seems.
Yeah, and you're right. And it was the same thing with the Hamas thing after October 7th, One of my
Right.
favorite editorial cartoons about the Israeli-Hamas war was you had an Israeli soldier in front of a baby carriage,
Yeah.
aiming the gun, and the Hamas guy was behind the baby, using the baby
I
as a
saw
human
that.
shield.
I saw
So
that. And to immoral morons, I love that. It's so poetic. Immoral morons, they
Write that down,
don't
Ken.
think that there's any real difference. They don't have enough, independent, critical judgment thinking to say, "Hey, wait a minute, that's fundamentally different, isn't it?"
Yes,
They
exactly.
don't think it. They don't think it.
Right.
You can't reason with people who aren't reasonable.
And I can believe, sorry, this is a terrible way to say that. I'm
I
so
know.
impressed with how smart and prepared and covert the Mossad, they actually
Are
listen
they?
to this bit of strategy, okay? They sent up empty fake fighter planes into the sky.
Uh-huh.
Nobody in it, unmanned. And when Israel shot it down, they knew where the shots were coming from and knew what to bomb next.
You mean when Iran shot it down?
No.
Is that what you mean?
Nope.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yes.
They're both
Well,
I
yes.
countries, I forget.
Yes.
Okay, it's hard to follow,
I'm sorry. It's because I'm an idiot.
No. I understand, and I didn't hear that, but it's so surprising. Like I told you, in the 48 war, they used with Mickey Cohen, they used seltzer bottles
Wow,
to
that's
throw
right.
out of airplanes, and you know what? That is one among the strengths that's also in the propaganda war that held for many years, which is the almost invincibility of Israel. They're smarter. They're, they can run rings around many countries around the world, and they're a little tiny postage stamp. We're talking the size of New Jersey. If you look at a map, I mean, these protesters, they've never seen a map. They've never
Right.
seen how massive the Arab lands are and how teeny tiny
That's right.
Israel is.
That's right.
That being said, the formidableness was legendary, and that was part of what caused Arab countries in those years to leave Israel alone. When Israel started making deals like Land for Peace, what it telegraphed to the Arab countries is, they're a paper tiger.
Mhm.
They're weaker, because that's what the Arab mindset, and I don't mean this in a directly collective pejorative sense, but it's all about honor, strength, and weakness. That's what it's about. And I will say one other thing, just because I wanted to remember to say it, which is I wanted to tune in and get the latest because I was doing other things this morning. And I saw that suddenly, not so suddenly, Iran is asking, almost begging for a truce. They want to talk. Now they want to talk. Now they want Trump. And can Saudi Arabia talk to Trump? All of that, if anybody falls for that,
Right.
it is wrong, because it's in the terrorist playbook. When you're up against a wall, you ask to negotiate so you can regroup. When you're not up against a wall, you never negotiate nothing. In fact, you lie about what you have, which is what they did in those 60 days of supposed negotiation.
Well,
is there anybody in the world who thinks that Donald Trump didn't know that?
Right, of course.
He, of course, knew that. And time's up. Time's up.
Yep.
They need to be disarmed. And I pray. I'll say one other thing. You see, you got me going here.
It's
I
okay.
know,
It's
Steve.
what we have
One
here.
more sentence, if I can. The Republicans can always be counted upon to get into these intellectual discussions about, well, we want to get in a protracted war and endless wars and war. And, will Trump be, is he going to get us into a war and send Americans, all that? Because you got the Tucker Carlsons of the world. Don't get me started. And what, see, what happens is I get so riled up, I forget.
It's okay. Come on, you're Jewish. It's okay.
What I'm thinking of 7 things at once, and that's just another one that I distracted myself from. What people are talking about is the possibility that the very good and long-suffering Iranian people will do what they can to get rid of this theocratic terrorist regime, and then Iran can be even resembling the times in which the Iranian people, many of them who came here, were wonderful, accomplished people when they're living in freedom. And no, I don't believe Trump is going to make that happen and be a nation builder. What he is participating in with Israel at the helm is making it possible for that to happen. It's up to them to do that part. And if you got good boundaries and you're clear thinking, like Trump is freaking amazing, that could happen. That could happen. And that's all I say is he's got boundaries. He knows what he will and will not do. And boy, oh boy, don't bet against him.
Yeah. You know, one thing too, I want to point out about the IDF, the bravery of some of these soldiers who had to be in Iran to set these bombs. And, you know, you remember the phones that blew up. That was unbelievably smart, right? That they somehow hacked into the Iran email system and said, hey, all you important military guys, we're going to meet at this place at this time. They all went and they all got blown up. I mean, the intelligence, the bravery, and that's why I guess they're calling this mission Rising Lion.
Well, they're calling it that for a lot of reasons. My rabbi talked about it on Shabbos. Lion, the Lion of Judah, is a very, very important figure. I'm not knowledgeable enough to talk about it, which is good because I'm not. But there is a connection to the Torah. There's a connection to all of it. There's a connection to the moral execution of these goals and so forth that Israel always has in mind, no matter how much Jew haters try to accuse them of exactly what is being done to them. Sound familiar? Happens in America too.
Right.
But in fact, they know that they are bound by certain religious principles, even if it isn't a fully religious country. There is there's religious principles attached to that, and Netanyahu is intimately aware of that. There's something in the Torah that says if you know somebody is coming to kill you, you must kill him first.
That's right.
It's that simple.
Yep.
And all the people that are the morons that are debating as if they know, as if they lived it. I didn't live it. I respect them to know what to do. I'm not an Israeli, but I know that that this is a sound principle. And when you talk about how brilliant and how brave they are, well, necessity is a mother, they like to say, right?
Yep.
You do it because it's your survival in doing it. And if you're smart enough to understand that you need something like a missile defense shield, then you go and build it.
Right.
And I will also, if I may say, that it cannot be said enough, and I hope Tucker Carlson gets it eventually, that this absolutely keeps not only the world safer, but America safer. And I'm not saying that because I'm an American Jew. I'm saying that because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And people look to Israel to do the jobs they don't want to do, but Saudi Arabia and these countries who want peace, they want business, they want to be left alone. They would like to at least recognize Israel as a trading partner. Why not? They're amazing. They are cheering. And that is a blessing for everyone.
Here was my thought on the Rising Lion, because you had said earlier in this conversation that the Land for Peace thing that Israel was doing, the Arab neighbors looked at Israel and said, oh, maybe they're a paper tiger. So they said, oh, no, we are a rising lion.
Good pickup.
All right. So
that's good picking up on that. Yeah.
So Netanyahu talked to Brett Baer on special. Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to read another quote. A friend of mine sent me a quote from Golda Meir, which I thought you might be interested in. If the Arabs put down their guns, there would be no more fighting. If Israelis put down their guns, there'd be no more Israel.
There would be no more Israel.
Right? That's so true. And how long ago was that? She died in 70.
Yeah, and guess what? People have to keep learning the same lesson over and over and over again.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Yes, absolutely right. So Netanyahu with Brett Baer said that Iran was behind both attempts to assassinate President Trump. I think we all kind of thought that in our hearts, but wouldn't have, Iran, why would they, but it looks like.
With the help of some others, I might add.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think about that?
Collusion with many others. Well, because I know this is a stretch, but we have had U.S. administrations who have shown themselves to be pro-Iran. So you do the math. That's all I'll say.
Okay, good enough.
I mean, the problem is people don't want to see the truth that's right in front of their noses. But when you do business with America's enemies and you send them $100 billion, is it, or billion dollars so they can regroup and continue their nuclear capabilities, then they are accessories during and after the fact. Need I say more?
No, you need not. Karen Kataline is our guest. She is our favorite. Ken, I'm going to ask you for permission for something since you're the boss.
What's up?
How about when we do I Heard It on the X this week? When is that? Is that tomorrow or is that Wednesday? I think that's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
How about if we do an all Drew Thomas Allen Heard It on the X? Because he was kicking royal ass.
That'd be
all
great.
weekend.
Yeah.
And the one thing that jumped out at me was he was going at it with Candace Owens.
Oh, really? Good
Yeah.
for him.
Oh, yeah. So
Good for him.
she's talking about, Iran and everything. And I remember his response more than her comment, but he said, so you're saying that Iran is the good guy here?
She's such a little twerp. I had so much hope for her.
Oh, we
I
all did.
loved her so much. And she's become a complete pissant. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes, say it twice if you want.
Pissant.
All right, that's it. No. Rah, rah, rah. Bugs Bunny, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah, good for him. I mean, good for him. I hope you can tell Drew, Alavai in Yiddish. You go.
Oh, and this I got it. Oh, you go. That's so funny. You got to say
You
that
go, Drew.
phonetically for me. Say that word phonetically.
Alavai. I'm always looking it up.
Vai.
Alavai. I'm always looking it up because the actual translation isn't how I grew up hearing, but it's Alavai.
You look in the
can also say
in the Torah,
muscle tough.
the Torah translator. Alavai means you go, girl. No.
You go, boy.
Go, boy.
Yeah, can I just also say how this is mushy, but how grateful and fuzzy, mushy I feel for the righteous Gentiles, the conservatives who are mostly Christian, who are my audience when I do other shows and your show, that the gratitude and I'm so grateful that people get the significance of this point in time and what we are watching. It's not business as usual. It's not everyday business. And these are people who got what Donald Trump was trying to do so many years ago. And we're watching it happen. Isn't it an honor to be living in such times? And thank you to your listeners and to you for, even listening to me.
Well,
That's
we
so
love you.
cool.
We love
That's
you.
so cool. I love you guys too.
All right, and finally,
I know. Violins.
Well, very, very. Hold on. Yunchin Lin won.
Yun-Chan Lim.
Sorry, I was close.
He did not. Yeah, he won. In
2022. Who won this time?
His name was Aristo Sham.
Aristo Sham.
Aristo Sham. He was. All of these people were child prodigies, but Yun-Chan Lim is something extraordinary. Marin Alsop says that now she believes in reincarnation because he won the Clyburn 3.5 years ago when he was 18 years old. He is something I've never seen. People are saying he gave the greatest performance of the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 3. Sorry, pardon me for getting all excited.
Okay.
That they've ever heard. I would recommend that you watch it, and you'll see that he finds melodies in there you didn't know there were.
I keep saying I'm gonna, and I'm not.
You
I'm
will.
Sorry. Listen,
It's there.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm a Jew and trend. I'm sorry. I'll try to get to it next week if I can. But
I can't do Jewish guilt that way because it's just too close. Like, you never listen to me.
you don't call, you don't write.
Don't call, you don't write.
But can the kid play boogie woogie? That's my question.
He could play anything.
All right, well,
That's all he does is eat, sleep, and practice. That's it. That's all he does.
There's something about boogie woogie piano that just, it really makes my head explode. It really does. I love it.
Wow. I love it too. I
And-
also love,
And our conversation wouldn't be complete if I didn't mention the beautiful Chana Blum, who I'm looking at her face right now, who was killed at 10 years old in the Warsaw ghetto. Love you, Chana. Mwah. All right,
Love
Karen.
you.
So listen,
you.
we'll talk Thursday. If things really start to calm down, maybe something funny, some Spaceball stuff, maybe.
Why not? I haven't seen the whole thing. I better watch it. I know. What kind of a Jew am I? I haven't seen Spaceballs all the way through.
Well, what, the original Spaceballs?
No.
Well, may the Schwartz be with you, for goodness sakes.
I'm telling you. Love you. Have a great week.
Love
Thank
you too. Thank you so much.
both.
Mwah. And then Ken comes in with Soulful Strut. So I got to tell you very quickly, I know we're late. Stop looking at me like that. My daughter sent me a little clip. It was about a 20-second clip of some band that she wasn't in this band, but this band was on the bill of one of the Venice nights that she does. And they were doing this song. They were doing Soulful Strut.
Really?
How
That's
about
cool.
that?
That's really cool.
So I know we're not crazy, Ken.
No.
When musicians pick it to do it, you know it's good. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Ken will say anything. He'll say, yeah, Vic, you're right about
Hey,
it.
when it comes to music, man, I'm all about it.
Hey, Chris Arps, live from Israel, next on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, #1 for live and local conservative talk.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to The Vic Porcelli Show.
Live and be well.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Whoosh.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
I'm gonna grab a bite to eat. You want like a sandwich or something? What kind of sandwich ain't too fattening? I have a sandwich.
On News Talk STL.
Ken, I'm sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. I was writing. There was 3 things I want to do in the first break of the 11 o'clock hour, and I was writing them down so I don't forget, because you know I'm a civ head.
Yeah.
So I was not paying attention to you. I heard your good morning, Israel.
That's right.
Chris Arp, still in Israel. Chris, I got to tell you, I have never
my friend.
been in my life in a bomb shelter. You know, when we were kids, they made us put our hands over our heads and go under the desk like that's going to protect us from an atomic bomb. But my God, I mean, you've done things you on this trip to Israel that nobody not nobody, but a good number of people have never done.
Well, I got to tell you, these bomb shelters, they are legit. Ours is in the basement of the hotel. It is reinforced concrete. I took a picture. I didn't want to take too many pictures because we're very wary about social media because we don't want Hamas and the terrorists knowing where we're at. But I did take some pictures of the big giant door that locks us in. So when you're in one of these bomb shelters, you are protected. And they have a little side door in this thing. So in case the building collapses or something, you can crawl through this little door and climb some stairs and escape.
Jeez.
You don't even think about stuff like that in the United States.
Of course you don't. No, wait a minute. I want to accentuate something you said there, Chris. Your phone tells people where you are, and that could blow the whole thing up for Israel, right? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, exactly. If you'll notice the Facebook Live videos that I've been doing, I haven't shown any background. The only background that I show is maybe a brick building or the foliage and everything. I'm trying as much as possible not to identify where we're at. And that's not something that I came up with. We were suggested to do that if we're posting on social media.
People in America don't even understand that. They don't even understand. They don't live like that. They don't have to live like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in Israel, they have to live like that every day.
Yeah, it's every day for them. They are used to this. I mean, I'm with a group of combat veterans from the Heroes to Heroes Foundation. So they've been in combat. They know the drill. But someone like me and Becky, we never served. We never have been in a war zone. So it's very comforting for us to be around them. And it's extra comforting to be around the Israeli people who, unfortunately for them, this is old hat.
So what are you hearing in the local media there in Israel? Because we're hearing here that Israel's begging to get back into the talks and that they're getting their asses completely kicked.
Yeah, they are. Some of the things that are going on, I don't know if you guys heard, there is the USS Nimitz is on its way here to the United States. I also heard some news that there is a aircraft that do the refueling. They are headed to Europe. Now, the United States, of course, has said that we're not involved in this, that Israel has done this on their own. But when you see a U.S. aircraft carrier going to the Middle East and planes that can refuel airplanes, that could mean that the United States could get involved in this. We're here in Jerusalem. And as I've been saying, I feel very comfortable. We don't see bombs. We don't see the missiles and everything. But last night, Vic, it got a little too close for comfort. Again, I don't want to say exactly where we are.
No, I get it.
We are in the vicinity of the U.S. Embassy. And last night, it was damaged by shockwaves from a rocket attack. So these last couple of nights have been pretty intense. I think that Iran is running out of ballistic missiles because the last few days we've been going to the bomb shelter at least 3 or 4 times a night. Last night was only 2 times that we went to the bomb shelter. So I'm no military expert, but I'm just going to assume that maybe they are running out of missiles.
Hey, Chris, have you been getting any updates about the progress that Israel is having in Iran?
Yeah, Israel has declared they have complete air superiority right now. They have destroyed their air defense missiles. So it's basically a turkey shoot right now. And I don't mean to say that laughingly, people dying, that's always a terrible thing. But when you see what the mullahs have done and the terrorism that they've fomented in the Middle East and around the world, I know you guys, and I know I'm not losing a lot of sleep when the top generals and politicians in Iran are being taken out.
No. Exactly right. So you mentioned that the embassy was damaged, 2 things I want to say here, Chris. The embassy was damaged. The airport is like bombed out. It looks like not even usable for who knows how long. So first of all, how do we get Chris Harps home? And second of all, the rebuilding that Israel has to do now. Yeah. Forget about that.
Yeah. Well, it was announced today that the Israeli airport, Ben Gurion Airport, will be closed at least until the 23rd on Monday. We are scheduled to, I'm not going to say where or what time, but we are scheduled to be airlifted out tomorrow. So hopefully around this time, I will be in Europe or on an airplane on the way home. So
I'm sorry.
It's looking good for us. Keep us in your prayers.
Of course, every day we do. When you say airlift, do you mean like airplane or helicopter?
An airplane. There's a group that works with getting Americans out of tough situations like this, and we all been in contact with them. We're registered, and so we're supposed to get out of here early in the morning. But I tell you one thing, I am nervous. The only time that I've really been nervous was when we were in the Muslim quarter and some guy turned his nose up in disgust when I told him that I'm a United States citizen. And my next fearful thing, I think, is going to have to the drive to the border to get out of Israel. I'm worried about that. You know, people could target us in that way. And then I'll be worried when we lift out of the another country and get into safe airspace. I'm worried about if some rocket-propelled grenade might take our plane out. I mean, that sounds dramatic, but
no,
we're in the Middle East, man.
Yes.
No.
Let me just. You can bet on this. I shan't be going to Israel anytime soon. That's for damn sure.
It's a beautiful country.
I
Vic.
know.
You'll love it here, walking in the steps of Jesus and seeing 2,000-year olive trees and going through the Garden of Gethsemane and seeing the birthplace of Jesus and the tomb.
Great.
That really, you got to put your fear away a little bit to see such wonderful sights. Not saying I'm Mr. Macho or anything, but you know.
Thanks for making me feel bad. I appreciate it.
Just sort of.
Great.
Well, Chris, we're praying for you and
Thanks,
Becky,
guys.
and just stay as safe as you possibly can.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing it. You know, I think about this. I'm a big geopolitical politics nerd. I've been like this since I was a little kid. I mean, if we were bombing some country or some military thing would happen, I'd get excited about it because I'd be able to watch it on the news as a special report. But just think about this. You know, Becky and I, we're in harm's way. We feel very safe. But what's going on right now is truly, truly historic. The Iranian mullahs have been in charge of Iran since 1979. That could possibly end with this war. And, you know, the Iranian people aren't supporters of their government. It's a dictatorship. You know, Netanyahu, when he came on TV, he was urging the Iranians to overthrow their government, and we could see that. As you know, the Iranians are the biggest sponsor of terrorism in the Mideast and around the world. And if you could take down that government, you know, it could make it a little safer, and you could feel safe coming to Israel, Vic.
And that's why, you know, we have to be careful when we say Iranians, because the people of Iran are such a wonderful people. I mean, they
are.
They don't want this. In fact, there are reports coming out now that the women of Iran are more and more not wearing head coverings, and that's a big sign of things. And I was a little disappointed. I don't know if you've heard this, but President Trump was involved, I guess, in some sort of planning for this attack with Israel's attack on Iran, and he said to not take out the mullahs. Have you heard anything about that?
That President Trump, that Israel, you know, they've identified all of these people and have killed them, and apparently they had the Ayatollah Khamenei in their sights and could have killed him as well. Donald Trump put the kibosh on him. You know, the United States has a lot of sway over Israel. And if I just had to take an educated guess, I mean, we don't want this man being in charge. Of course, he's evil. But I think they took the calculation that if they took him out, not only is he the president of this country, but he's also the religious leader of Iran. And the last thing you want to do is make these fanatics martyrs.
Yeah, okay. All right. That clears up a lot for me then. Thank you, Chris.
I don't know. The whole thing is just crazy, Chris, and you're in a very dangerous part of the world.
Trust me, I'm here. I know it's crazy.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, listen, give our best to Becky. Let her know, and you
I
know
will.
that we're praying for you guys and thinking about you every minute, okay?
Yeah.
And let me just say this. Look, everyone that has commented on my page and reels and everything that are supporting us and praying for us and thinking of us, you guys have no idea what that means to us, to know that you're thinking about us back home. And prayer does work.
Yes.
To know that all these people are thinking about you, it gives you calm. It really does. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We love you too.
And God bless you both.
Chris Arps.
Thank you.
And Tim Jones every afternoon here. So this station's been going on for almost 4 years now.
We're heading up on it pretty quick.
In any of those, in any minute or second in those 4 years, that I think one of my colleagues would be trapped in Israel in a bomb shelter.
No.
Things you don't think about.
Right.
And they deal with it every day in Israel.
Think about what you think about at the time.
All right. The boss has dementia. We're going to have to do something about that. All right, when we get back, more expertise on this Israeli-Iran thing. Marine Corps Colonel William Dunn is going to tell us all about it. He's got a great book called Gunfighters Rule, and he's going to join us next. Operation Rising Lion right there. That's next. What are you laughing at? Why are you laughing at me?
Nothing.
Did I say something wrong?
No, not at all.
I hate you so much. All right, we'll be right back on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
Think about what you'd think about at the time.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
So Ken has heard so many Joe Biden quotes that he just throws them out there. Oh, think about what you think about at the time. Right, Ken?
Yeah, I can't repeat some of them. Actually, most of them.
Well, he doesn't speak English.
Right.
All right, so listen, your property, right, your home, sometimes trees are, they're just great and they're beautiful and love to have trees in the backyard. But then you look up at the tree and you're like, hey, honey, why does that branch right there not have any leaves on it? That's weird, right? There's leaves on a lot of the other branch. What's going on? Well, here's what you do. Before you think that the tree is dead, just think of that the tree may need some treatment. And that's where Roots Plus comes in. And our friend Stan, he's amazing. He will actually inject, and when I say inject, I don't know what the process looks like.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like an injection of nutrients. Nutrients.
I picture this gigantic syringe.
Yeah, exactly.
That shoots down into the roots in the ground.
That's exactly what I think of. Now you're thinking like an idiot like me. That's great.
There we go.
But they can fix the tree, maybe. Let them take it, and let them inject with the big syringe into the roots and see if they can bring the tree back. And then if they can't, guess what? It's risk-free. They'll take the money that you use to try to fix the tree in getting rid of the tree. And that's what they had to do with us. Our tree was no longer. It was on hospice.
Mm.
And it's like the doctor when you're in the emergency room stands said, we've done everything we can.
Everything we can, sorry.
Seriously, see if you can save that tree. Call Roots Plus at 314-440-3662 or rootsplusllc.com. That's rootsplusllc.com. Tell them Vic says hi.
News, analysis, opinion.
Isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? How the mayors in these sanctuary jurisdictions are dealing with it, that's interesting.
Safety is our primary concern.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I don't know where to start with Medicare. It's so confusing.
Feeling overwhelmed by Medicare? The Westoff Agency is here to help.
Hi, I'm Debbie Westoff with Westoff Agency. We have helped hundreds of people just like you navigate Medicare options.
Our team of experts makes the process simple and stress-free.
Let me, Debbie Westoff, be your personal Medicare guide, walking you through each choice to find the coverage that truly fits.
Visit westoffagency.com for more information. That's westoffagency.com.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Fox News commentary.
The hog is out of the DNC. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
The manliest and youngest leader Democrats have to offer has been ousted from DNC leadership. It came to be technically due to gender imbalance accusations, which forced a revote for 2 vice chair positions, one of them being Hogg's. But really, it was about Hogg's outspoken desire to unseat older and, in his eyes, ineffective party elders and incumbents. He even leads a PAC, Leaders We Deserve, that raised a whopping $20 million to do just that. After all the controversy and public infighting, Hogg decided not to even seek re-election. Also, after audio of a Zoom call between DNC Chair Ken Martin and Hogg leaked and went viral, Martin could be heard essentially pouting that the Hogg snafu prevented him from true leadership. Whatever the case, it's obvious the Democrat Party from top to bottom is in dire disarray. Best of luck to all of you, but really not. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
This hour of the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
Hi, it's Dr. Ben Carson, and you're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on NewstalkSTL.
Sorry, Decker. Thank you, Dr. Carson. Appreciate that very much. Sorry, I was just reading something in the chat box. We'll get there, Vic. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So Operation Rising Lion is the name of the campaign that the Israelis are doing on Iran. Let's talk about a guy who knows a thing or two about that. Marine Corps Colonel William Burner Dunn. Colonel, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. How y'all doing today?
Okay.
Real good.
You know, I mean, the segment right before you was we were talking to our afternoon guy, Chris Arps, who's stuck in Israel in a bomb shelter. You know, I mean, that's we don't think about that until it happens to somebody that we know.
Well, that's right. And you know, that's the reality. Thankfully, right? Most of our fellow Americans don't have to feel the pain and suffering and challenges of war. They can see it on TV or they hear about it from, you know, the veterans that come back and that are doing it right now as we speak. So that's a good thing, right? That's what we want. That's what the U.S. military wants. We want to not have war in the United States. We want to hopefully not have war, but if we have to, we want to do it somewhere else where we can focus on the enemy and protect our, you know, fellow Americans.
So as a Marine colonel, what are you seeing as far as advantages? Does Israel have the advantage? I mean, we're hearing that Iran wants to have talks now all of a sudden. Does that mean that Israel is gaining in this conflict, or is it a false flag from Iran?
No, it's a planned campaign. The Israelis did it the way we would do it, the way we always do it. We go in, we focus on command and control. We focus on eyes and ears. That's your radar systems, their anti-air threat. And we gain and maintain air superiority. We ideally want to get to air supremacy. That's difficult to hold and maintain. You know, we didn't even technically have air supremacy over Iraq because when we were there, they shot down helicopters and other aircraft. But they're quickly getting air supremacy over Iran. And they won't be able to probably maintain that indefinitely, but they'll hold air superiority. And it looks like I've seen open source. They've lost 3 F-35s, which is an amazing feat in a good sense that's the only losses that the Israelis have had conducting this air campaign.
So I saw a story. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so what they did is a precise plan. That's how we do it. That's how they do it. That's how modern warfare is going to be conducted, is you have to take out the ability for the country that you're fighting to defend themselves in the air. And once you do that, you can pretty much go and do whatever you need to do to keep them, contained.
So some of the things that I've seen in what Israel has done, which I think is just amazingly smart, that they send, tell me if I'm wrong about this, that's fine, but that they send up a dummy jet, right, fighter jet with nobody in it, and then when Iran goes to shoot it down, then they see where that shot is coming from, and they know where the Iranians are based.
That's a tactic that I'm not going to talk too much about that tactic, but that's a smart tactic. Let's just say that.
Good enough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to get anybody in trouble.
Radars on. Yeah. If they turn the radars on, you can kill them.
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to pry too
No,
deeply
that's
there.
good. It's just, some things that we learned back in the day. It's, there's tactics we don't normally talk about, and that does not surprise me. It's a normal tactic, but the reality is, and I would tell this to every Iranian: if you turn your radars on, we can kill you.
So keep
and
them
that's
on.
what Israelis probably trying to turn them off.
Keep. All right. So, how far do you see this going?
Here's what I would like to see. It's, if I was the guy making the call, if I was Israel, I would not let up until the nuclear capability of Iran is either destroyed or put back at least 50 years. And I pick 50 years just out of time, right? Take their capability that all the Iranian leaders will not be alive in 50 years, right?
Right.
Either most of us won't be alive in 50 years. Take it out for 50 years. 5 generations, you're going to have the ability for better world peace. They can't have a nuclear weapon, but you can't let up, because if you stop now and they still, what we don't know is how badly damaged the nuclear capability is. We know it's been beat up, it's been destroyed. There's talk about this, mile and a half or half mile underground, however deep it is. We don't know for sure. If it's alive and well somewhere, you can't stop. It's got to be ended. And if I was Israel, I would not give them a chance to regroup, force them to the negotiating table, and then allow inspectors to come in and validate that it's destroyed. And once it's validated, they're still a country. They're still going to want to regrow their aspirations of nuclear capability. You need to get a generation of Iranians in there, local population that don't want to do that, and they want peace. Get rid of the regime and then move forward.
President Trump has said all along, probably from 2016 on, that Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb. And he's done everything he can. But then, the 4 years with idiot Biden in the White House, and then Obama sending the money. I mean, he was right, first of all. And now somebody's doing, because I don't want to say that America's, get in trouble, get you in trouble. But President Trump has said that Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, at least for almost 10 years, right?
Yeah, at least. Everyone in the world knows they can't have it.
Right.
Many of the Middle Eastern countries know they can't have it. No rational actor wants anywhere in the world to cross the nuclear threshold in combat. Nobody should want that, because it could lead literally to the extermination of the world. You don't want that. We don't want that. The only one that seems to want to do it are the Iranians. And that's why we have, the Israelis said, in my mind, no choice but to enact this attack.
Hey, Colonel Dunn, earlier, like Vic said, we talked with one of our colleagues, Chris Arps. He's in Israel right now. And I mentioned him. I was a little disappointed that President Trump didn't give the go-ahead to take out the mullah, the head of the beast. And Chris said, well, I think Trump did that because he didn't want to have a martyr. Are you in the same line of thought?
No, not the martyr thought. Here's the reality. You do not want to open a humanitarian crisis inside Iran where millions of people are starving and dying. You have to have some sort of government, someone to negotiate with. The regime change needs, if there is a regime change, it has to come from inside Iran. We tried this in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. It led to a 20-year war. It doesn't work. When I was in Iraq during OAF-1, we fired the Iraqi army. We fired the Iraqi government. It was the worst mistake we made. Every Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps, I believe, knew that was a bad idea. But I was in Karbala when they did that, and we had to go tell the little interim government of Karbala that they had to leave. And what happened next? The insurgency grew. The young men in the army had nowhere to go, so they were easily recruited by terrorists, and we had a 20-year war. A lot of American men and women died. A lot of American treasure down the tubes, and we're still there. I've got folks that work for our company that are in Iraq right now as we speak. Hopefully, not going to be under attack by Iran.
So you
don't want to get rid of the government.
So you're for President Trump's decision. You're for President Trump's decision, then.
I am. Regime change needs to come from the Iranian people, not from Israel, not from the United States.
Awesome.
All right. I got to be honest with you, Colonel Dunn. I've never had this feeling ever before in my life, but I feel like I don't want to say the wrong thing. You know, I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to get any of our troops in trouble or our president in trouble. So I'm just going to say, hey, tell us about your book
right?
called Gunfighters Rule. That's the safest question I can ask you right now.
Yeah. Well, no, great. I appreciate that. So I wrote Gunfighters Rule after 33 years in the Marine Corps. I think it's a great book. It's a little stressful if you're a military person. You read it, you get stressed out a little bit. I've had some of my peers tell me it brings back some memories. My wife says it's about resiliency and determination. You know, I had some bunch of challenges when I was a young kid. I had to make a determination of whether I was going to end up letting those challenges defeat me. Instead, I joined the Marine Corps. That turned my life around. You know, 33 years later, I retired as a colonel. Spent a lot of time in and out of combat. Not as much as most of my peers, but enough that I know what the face of war is like, and hopefully we never see it again. What's another interesting thing, while I was still in the Marine Corps, and this is why all this Israeli stuff is jumping out at me, I was in command of a unit called MAG 40, and we went over to set the theater for General Mattis for this exact scenario to be unfolding.
Wow.
And so when a lot of the things that I'm seeing, we were thinking of way back, and this was in 2012. So in 2012, we were worried about this. And, you know, you mentioned 10 years from President Trump. You know, other administrations also agree we do not want to have an Iranian, you know, country with a nuclear weapon. Here we are, you know, 13 years later, and we're seeing it unfold. And I just saw a thing on the news that there's a bunch of U.S. bomber tankers being flown out. Hopefully we don't get dragged into this. But if we do and they attack Americans,
it's over.
We got to be ready to fight back, defend our men and women that are out there putting on the line. So yeah, the book is great. If you want to read it, get it on Amazon. If you read it, I bet you'll enjoy it, and hope you do.
I love the title.
Yeah, absolutely. And we love your nickname, Burner. The Burner. Yes. What do we do? Call the Burner. Like Mattis was Mad Dog, right? Mad Dog Mattis.
Well, you know, he didn't like that.
Oh.
We called him boss and we called him general. We didn't call him Mad Dog.
Okay.
But, you know, he brought up a point. I'm not speaking for him. I know General Mattis relatively well, but I'm not speaking for him. But he brought up a point. He said, I don't want mothers and fathers to think that their children are being led by someone that's a mad dog, you know, crazy and raged. He's like, everything I do is thoughtful and I think about it. So
you're good.
I believe that.
You're good with Burner, though, right?
Yes, you know, it's, you know, I won't go into details, but let's say in my youth, I like to drink and maybe fight a little bit. So
that's fine.
That's perfect.
I feel like I've asked every wrong question in this conversation.
No, it's been good. It's been good. No.
You know, maybe General Mattis has seen Back to the Future 3 because Mad Dog Tannen, he hated me. I hate Mad Dog. I hate that name, Mad Dog Tannen. Will you come back and talk to us again, or have I blown it completely with you?
No, I love it, and you know what I love is I love the opportunity to get the word out because we've got men and women out there putting their life on the line for this country every day, and they need to hear and see the support from home. The 250th birthday for the Army was great. Soon, the best birthday's coming up, the Marine Corps' 250th birthday.
Yeah,
and that'll be November 10th. And hopefully we'll celebrate that as well.
We'll be celebrating.
All right. Colonel,
I certainly will be.
Always a pleasure to have you on. And if things start to go sideways here, we're going to give you a call, okay?
Anytime. I appreciate it. And you all have a wonderful day. Semper Fi.
And my brother, he's a retired Marine, and he says Semper Fi to you, Colonel.
All right. Outstanding. Hoorah.
All right.
I have Semper Fi envy right now, okay? Why don't we just close this conversation?
Well, hey, take care, Jensen.
Thank you.
Wonderful week.
Thank you. Much better.
Sir.
I can say that. See, there's things I'm not qualified to do or say, and you know me. I don't like to break protocol at time. That's why I don't salute people because I'm not qualified to salute people.
I know.
And I don't think I'm qualified to say Semper Fi.
I just love it having military on our show. I love it. I just love it.
Gunfighters Rule is the name of the book.
They don't mess around, do they, Vic?
Boy, not only do they not mess around, I don't know what kind of can of worms I open there.
I personally love it when the guest stops and thinks, wait a minute, should I be talking about this? Because you hit 2 points that he did that. And I was like, okay, this is cool.
So am I on the list now? Am I on the list?
No, you're on no list. I don't
sure?
think so.
Do I have to go to my shoulder?
The good guy list, I think, maybe.
Maybe they'll recruit me for my military
They
prowess.
could, yeah, for radio.
For a guy that's never been ever in the military. Hey, he sounds like he's got military prowess. I don't know. He sounds fat to me. Gunfighters Rule. Get it on Amazon. Marine Corps Colonel William Dunn, the burner. We'll call on him if anything gets really crazy.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Next break. What I want to do, Ken, if it's okay with you, since you are the boss, obviously Vic for Vets. I would also like to talk about the Beach Boys show that was on last night.
Yeah.
They honored the Beach Boys. All coming up on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
John Gizzi, he's the Newsmax chief political columnist and White House correspondent.
One has to change with the times. Franklin Roosevelt understood this when he became the first radio president. John F. Kennedy mastered television. Ronald Reagan mastered both. The White House press office is reaching out to new blood and to the new media.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The head of the International Atomic Energy Agency is providing an update concerning measurements of radioactivity in Tehran after Israel's strikes against Iran's nuclear facilities.
At a briefing in Vienna, Rafael Grossi says levels outside the complex are presently normal,
indicating no external radiological impact to the population.
The IAEA chief stresses, however, that within the facility, there's both radiological and chemical contamination.
The radiation, primarily consisting of alpha particles.
Grossi's main concern inside the complex is the chemical toxicity of a gas called uranium hexafluoride. I'm Charles de la Thesma.
The man suspected of killing a Minnesota lawmaker and wounding another has been taken into custody, ending a nearly 2-day search. Minnesota Democratic Governor Tim Walz made the announcement last night.
After a 2-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous manhunt.
Bolter is now charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Correspondent Julie Walker has more on the torrential rains and the flash flooding in parts of northern West Virginia.
Flash flooding caused by torrential rain Saturday night killed 5 people in northern West Virginia, and rescue crews on Sunday were searching for people who were missing as authorities assess damage to roads, bridges, natural gas lines, and other infrastructure.
That is correspondent Julie Walker reporting. Officials say 2.5 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Wheeling and Ohio County within about a half an hour on Saturday night. Vehicles were swept into swollen creeks. In some cases, people sought refuge in trees. More from townhall.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show here. And when it comes to mortgages, I only trust the team that's helped me and my family more than once. Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. These guys are friends, believers. They built a company on biblical values that actually puts you first. In today's economy, with everything costing more, you need a lender who can help you make smart strategic moves when it comes to real estate. Need cash for home improvements? Thinking about a HELOC or a refi to consolidate eliminate debt? Well, Fellowship Home Loans can help you do it faster and for less. Why? Because they're a direct lender, not a broker. No middleman, no unnecessary fees. That means fewer hoops, less waiting, and real answers from real people who care. Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or just exploring your options, Fellowship Home Loans will tailor everything to your unique needs. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
This hour, the Vic Porcelli Show, brought to you by the Trolley Stop Bakery, the official bakery of the Vic Porcelli Show. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show.
For a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The weather started getting rough.
We squeeze in a dry hump day under partly sunny skies.
From New Jersey to Baldwin, Missouri, to behind the microphone, taking the whoosh to the radical left and the putrid swamp. You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show. Here he is, Vic Porcelli.
Thank you, Mr. Big Voice Announcer. Appreciate you very much. All right, final hour of our 3-hour tour. We got a Vic for Vets coming up in just a second. East Coast Report with Doug Blair. Chat box, which is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
On fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. But right now it is time for Vic for Vets. Today, our veteran is submitted by Hopkins 58. I think we know him as some other names as well.
Yeah.
But Hopkins 58 is what we'll call him. He has submitted, as our veteran of the day today, his great-grandfather, John Dominic Feeney, who was born in Ireland in 1843. He immigrated with his parents and siblings to the United States and settled in Houston County, Minnesota. I would just like to add a little opinion on my part. They came in legally, did it the right way.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So when the Civil War broke out, this is a Civil War.
I love the historical references.
When the Civil War broke out, he was in New Orleans and was conscripted in the Confederate Army. he deserted and went upriver to Cairo, Illinois, where he had enlisted in the Illinois 9th Infantry Regiment for the North, for the Blue, for the
Union Army.
Union, right? Thanks. Couldn't think of the word Union. So he enlisted in the Illinois 9th Infantry Regiment. He was wounded in the Battle of Fort Donaldson in Tennessee. In the hospital, he contracted typhoid fever, and he lost his hearing. He died in 1928 in North Dakota. Thank you for serving, John Dominic Feeney. Ken, when we started doing this Vic for Vets thing, I never imagined we'd be reading so much about the Civil War. This is the second Civil War soldier that we've honored.
Yeah, that just tells you how much people really need this. I think that they're playing a little bit of catch up, maybe saying all our whole lives, maybe this family probably heard about this person and never was never able to express their desire to focus on him.
We couldn't do this feature Vic for Vets without the support of DG Firearms, Patriot Heating and Cooling, and Best Buy Flooring. Now, what you just said right there, I think our lives are so much busier now than they were a generation before us.
I agree with that.
And then so simplistic in the generation before that, like my grandfather's. And I think that we just don't think about stuff because we're busy right now. Everything's busy, got to do the show, got to go home. You got to build a deck or whatever you do, and we're always doing stuff and we don't stop to think about stuff. You know what I never stopped to think about that I not learned, but it was obvious, reminded of during the 250th anniversary of the Army Parade in D.C. yesterday, that this country, I don't want to say it that way, that we had an army before we had a country.
Yeah.
Revolutionary Army, the Revolutionary War was before we even were a country. That's why we were fighting the war.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, it makes sense because we couldn't have become a country unless we won the war.
Exactly. It makes total sense, but I just never thought of it.
Right. No, I never did either.
So it was about a year. And 250th anniversary of the country, of course, is next year. July 4th, 2026 is going to be, the 250th anniversary.
And as Colonel Dunn mentioned, in November, we're going to have the 250th birthday of the Marines.
Yeah.
So they were actually here, of course, obviously before
the country,
the founding of our country.
Unbelievable. I swear to God, why didn't I ever just sit and think about that? That you had to have an army to win a war. We had to have an army to win the Revolutionary War. General Washington and his troops, but we weren't. I don't know. Maybe I just don't think deeply enough, or maybe I'm just too busy doing stuff. Maybe I should just lay around on the couch more and think about stuff.
Think about things. Contemplate.
Think about what you think about
at the time.
So that's Vic for Vets. If you have a vet you'd like us to honor, please let us know. We'd love to let the world know about he or she. Ken, how do they do that?
Just send your information, name, rank, branch of service, any other information. If you can tell the story, please do, and send it to Ken at NewstalkSTL.com. That's Ken at NewstalkSTL.com.
And I love the feature. I love it. People say, why don't veterans get a whole month? Guess what? This is the radio station that gave them a whole month. This is the show that gave them a whole month.
And keep in mind, after the Veterans Month of June is over, we're going to continue every Monday to highlight another veteran. So send your information in.
Yep. At least once a week. Well, once a week is what we have planned.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to just say real quickly that Caitlin Clark returned yesterday to the Indiana Fever lineup. She was out for 5 games due to a quad strain, whatever that is. And they played the New York Liberty. The New York Liberty went into the game undefeated at 9-0, and the Indiana Fever beat the New York Liberty. And Caitlin Clark had 32 points, I think nine assists and 8 rebounds. So she missed a triple-double just by a little bit. And Ken, I got to tell you something. Caitlin Clark scored 9 points in 38 seconds. Did you get that? 9 points in 38 seconds. 3 threes in a row. None of them were under 30 feet. She
Wow.
was so far away from the basket. She was just shooting them and they were going in.
Now, what's funny is I was watching this game. I don't even know who they were playing, but I know Sky because Angel Reese was playing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, number one, she can't run. She can't run to save her life. She looks so awkward running. And then it was almost like these other players were trying to shoot like Caitlin Clark, but they were all missing.
Right.
I mean, they were like short of the net.
Right. Short of the net.
Yeah. Air ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then none of them made it. None of them made any of those. And they kept just trying to do it. And I'm thinking that they're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And I'm going to make myself really popular by doing it. And they just don't.
Yeah. I do love Paige Beckers, however, who plays for the Dallas Wings, I think they're called. She went to University of Connecticut, and they won the championship and all that. But Caitlin, she was just on, man. She was just on. But she does do something that I don't like. Sometimes she just sticks her tongue out. It's not a good look. It's just not a good look. Don't do that. Caitlin, you listening? Don't do that. So congratulations to her. 32 points in her first game back.
32. Wow.
So last Thursday was a unique day on this show where we did a double deli.
Yeah.
We had two musical giants that we felt like we should honor both of with a deli. So we gave each one a deli on Thursday, and it was double deli Thursday. Now, don't expect that all the time, by the way, but we'll see what we can do. So we did Sly and the Family Stone. Happy with that. And Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. So I was happy with it, but I forgot. Last night there was a Grammys tribute to the Beach Boys. And people I never heard of. Charlie Puth. Have you ever heard of Charlie Puth?
No.
Brandy Carlisle. Ever heard of Brandy Carlisle?
No, artists have gotten away from me. I don't really follow new artists very much.
So anyway, everybody came on and did a Beach Boys song, and the Beach Boys were there. They were up on the thing. So John Stamos, who were great friends with all of them, went on stage a lot with them during their career, was talking about them all, and hey, introducing them one by one. And of course, Brian Wilson. And you see Brian Wilson clapping. Is this the ghost of Brian Wilson? What the hell's going on? I thought they did it. I would have been more impressed if they put this together after Brian Wilson died as a tribute to him, but it ran 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. I'm glad they did it, but they freaked me out a little bit.
A little bit.
So I would also like to, if I may, add an addendum to last Thursday's Porcelli's Deli about the Beach Boys. So we talked about, Ken, how the album Rubber Soul influenced and inspired Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most remarkable thing, in my estimation, is that Pet Sounds influenced and inspired Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The Beatles, the greatest songwriters ever, were inspired by a bunch of surfer dudes.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So there's a Beach Boys Beatles connection, definitely. And the one thing I forgot to mention was California Girls. Well, East Coast has been.
Yeah.
Well, back in the USSR by the Beatles, East Coast girls really knock me out.
Right.
Right. So they inspired back the USSR as well, the Beach Boys.
Wow.
I just wanted to say that. I don't know if it was worth it, but there you go.
No, that's worth it because that's such a classic.
Which one? California Girls.
Well, both of them.
Yeah. Well, back in the USSR was a classic to us because we're like, classic rock fans that love the deep cuts and stuff. We didn't hear back in the USSR on the radio a whole lot, did you?
On KSHE, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit. So I thought that was pretty cool. East Coast girls really knock me out. Okay. Hey, Ken.
Hey.
We just got a letter.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
Well, you have to wonder no more. It came from Allison. And she said, just wanted to give you an update on what took place Saturday in Union, Missouri. The situation was being monitored by Union PD, Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and the Washington Guard. Our pal, Colonel Joe Adams.
That's right.
Estimated around 300 people showed up at the courthouse square. It was mostly older people with signs saying that Trump is stealing their Social Security.
Okay, can I say something about that? when you hear these people talking about the big No Kings rallies, they were primarily all a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Every picture that I saw were like a lot of old people.
So what are you saying?
I'm just saying
that old people don't like Trump?
Not at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there weren't a lot of like real young people doing this thing.
Right. So estimated about 300 people showed up at the courthouse square. It was mostly older people, Thunder Stealer,
yeah,
with signs that saying that Trump is stealing their Social Security and Medicare. A few Free Palestine signs were very vulgar signs, like Stephen Miller looks like a part of the human male anatomy. And as far as Social Security goes, I got to tell you, I was talking to my daughter. You know, my kids all called me for Father's Day yesterday. And I was telling Marielle, I said, Marielle, guess what? I am at full retirement age. And she said, well, what does that mean? I said, I can collect Social Security. And I do. And that has gone without a glitch. Okay?
Yeah.
Signed up, signed in, logged in, got the check every month. So shut up. Okay? Social Security experts on Facebook. Okay. And the typical one, it was easy to spot outside agitators. They would pull up in vehicles with no front or back license plates. What? Four people all get out with masks and signs that say resist. Boy, is that not a set up, not what do you call it? What do you AstroTurf? That's like an AstroTurf thing, right? To say resist.
Oh yeah.
One large SUV, no plates, dark tinted windows, driver in a mask, kept driving around the square, dropping of boxes of supplies to protesters. He was quickly detained by LEO. I don't know what that is. LEO.
What is it?
LEO.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. A few pro-Trump people showed up and were met with loud, aggressive disapproval from the protesters. Volunteers with orange vests would follow them with a sign saying, grab them by the pick. Grab them by the testicles.
Mm-hmm.
Trump supporters were very quiet. On one corner, they were aggressively vocal to them. There were a few country boys in their big turbo spool and diesel trucks with Trump flags that drove around the square and left. Franklin County sheriffs and Union PD did a great job of protecting the protesters' First Amendment right and keeping streets open. No property damage, no violence. It was loud. I am not sure what they accomplished, but our county seat and historical old courthouse square only received some litter and no damage. Thank God. Well, that's fine. But I was watching, we said this earlier in the show, but I just want to bring it up again very quickly, Ken, that the Channel 5 was covering the No King rally in downtown. And as she's talking, she's saying, well, there's no violence. You know, there's nothing, no disruptors or anything like that. And behind her is a guy with a sign that says 8647.
Yeah.
Do they not? I mean, I feel like they just phone it in, Ken.
A lot of them, I think they do. And a lot of them, like you said earlier, I think they're just a low information or something. I don't know. They're reporters, but they have a lot of low information.
How could that be, right?
I don't know.
You say to yourself, well, you're a reporter for a television station in a major market, and you don't realize that 8647 is right behind your head, and the camera guy didn't notice it, you know?
Well, what do you think the odds of that, of her actually not knowing what 8647
There's no way, right?
I wouldn't think, but, you know, as a reporter, you would think, okay, I've heard that 86 before.
All right, so we just got a letter. Thanks, Allison. We appreciate it. You know you're always there. And we love you.
We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. Wonder who it's from.
We encourage your letters and postcards and emails and stuff. We haven't got a postcard yet, though, have we?
No, but yeah, send them.
Send a self-addressed stamped envelope. Okay. Thank you guys for just being involved in the show. We appreciate you more than you know. All right, Kenny, let's get out of here, man.
Okay, man.
Let's get out. Look, on time. Look at me. Look at me, on time. And grapefruit. Just grapefruit?
Yeah. No, it's cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe. I used to go to school with Dominic Cantalupo, Italian kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Douglas Blair, he's a pilf. He's next on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Whoosh.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Now, my mamaw died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. And when we went through things, we found 19 loaded handguns.
On News Talk STL.
Times are changing.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
The Democratic Party doesn't stand with what I stand for.
News Talk STL.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Jamie Ullman here with the refi and debt consolidation magician, Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. Jordan, tell me about it.
Well, Jamie, with inflation high, credit card debts all-time highs, let's look at a cash-out refinance on your home. With our bagel loan, we're going to have no title fees. We're going to have no lender fees, no appraisal fees. This will help your overall cash flow mightily. It's the time to do it. Jump on now while you can. We can always refinance when rates drop. Bagel loan all day.
314-442-9570 or Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Court will take a 60-minute recess for lunch.
Your Honor, I respectfully request a full day's continuance to go over all this stuff. Now, look here. I don't like that kind of talk. Now, just stop it. It upsets me.
Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Flawless. It was flawless, Ken. Well done, sir. I always feel a little cooler talking over the Peter Gunn theme, you know, like I in a trench coat and a fedora.
Right.
By the way, I'm glad I brought up the word fedora. Kill this. You know guys who wear those fedoras?
Yeah.
Remember back in the 40s when guys wore fedoras?
Yeah, it was before Kennedy. Prior to Kennedy, Kennedy was the one, John F. Kennedy was the one who got rid of that whole style.
Let's go before that.
Okay.
When guys wore suits, fedoras, right? And now guys wear fedoras totally the wrong way. I'm sorry. If you're one of those guys who wears fedoras, if you look in history and in etiquette, if you're wearing a hat like that, when you walk in, you take it off.
Every time, yeah.
And look at all these guys who are indoors wearing, you know, Howie Mandel on America's Got Talent wears one because he thinks he's cool.
Right.
Well, if you really were cool, you'd take it off when you were indoors. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
All right, let's go.
This just in. For the latest news from the DC swamp and beyond, this is the Vic Porcelli Show East Coast Report with Douglas Blair on News Talk STL.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Doug Blair. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, Vic. And if I might give my take on the fedora,
Yeah.
I think the fedora used to be really cool. It used to be something you could see like Sinatra.
Yes.
Or, you could see like a very cool actor wearing that. And now they're just kind of lame. I don't know. I've never seen a guy in a fedora recently that looks cool.
And you take it off when you go inside. It's just etiquette.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, this enigma of a story of this guy that shot 4 lawmakers in Minnesota, killed 2 of them. The U.S. attorney seeking the death penalty, not ruling that out. Isn't it weird how we got so much information on this guy immediately, automatically, and we still don't know who Thomas Crooks was? Is that weird, or is it me?
No, I mean, I think that there is obviously the nature of the beast here is to politicize things when it benefits your side, and then to not politicize it when it doesn't benefit your side. So I would say this is one of the most confusing stories I've heard in a very long time. If you look at the New York Post, you say that he was selected by Tim Walz to be part of this committee, which you would assume he wouldn't have done because Tim Walz is a progressive POS and wouldn't have put like a MAGA guy on the board. But then you hear other reporting that says he's like a fundy, like a pro-fundamentalist Christian, and there's like that angle to it. It's very confusing. I guess part of me too is just frustrated that like the bodies aren't even cold yet and we're still talking about it. Like, I'm not obviously saying, Vic, that you're doing that. I'm just saying that it does frustrate me when it's like 4 people are dead or wounded, and instead of mourning, both sides of the aisle have decided that they're going to make this like their cause du jour. And like, I don't know, man, I sometimes just get a little sad.
Well, listen, I need to know, this happened over the weekend. I need to know what I'm going to talk about on Monday, right? And the grieving, okay, let's grieve. Okay, done. So, but now it's because the story, if the story wasn't so convoluted, Doug, right? I believe, I may be wrong, I believe there are no coincidences. I don't know how you feel about that, Ken.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And also, Doug, in his car, he had no Kings flyers.
I was going to say next, but
and again, it's a very confusing thing. This is like every single one of these people has like weird political affiliations in one way or another. I guess my take on this entire thing is that political violence is becoming far more mainstream than I would like. And I think that that's one of those things that sort of precipitates a destruction of a political system, where if people feel like the only way that they can make a change, that they can institute policy, is by shooting somebody and killing them, I mean, that's really not a place you want to be for very long. And to shamelessly tie this back to the work that my organization does, I think one of the reasons why people feel like political violence is the only thing that they can go to is because they can't trust the ballot box. They basically say, the only box that matters is the ballot box. And if I put my ballot in the box and people say it's totally kosher and totally cool, and then all of a sudden we discover it wasn't as clean as you thought it was, you feel like you don't really have a choice. You feel like you have to go out there and do something extreme.
So getting back to that, I don't believe in coincidences, and I was going to say that there were no King flyers in his car.
Ken, Thunder Stealer.
Ken had to say it first. But I don't think it's a coincidence that those flyers were back there. He was appointed, as you said, by Tim Walz. And here's the no coincidences part. The people that he shot were the only Democrats to vote against the Democrats in the Missouri House.
Minnesota.
In the Minnesota House.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then all of a sudden he's a MAGA right-wing guy, and big fat neighbor says, "Oh yeah, he was a Trump fan, and he didn't like Jim Biden." As soon as he said, he didn't like Jim Biden, I was like, okay, this guy's credible, right?
Yeah.
But you see what I'm saying? There's no coincidences.
No, I completely agree with you on the principle of it, right? I mean, obviously, one of the things that you pick up pretty quickly in DC is that, all of this stuff is planned. It's all staged. There's very rare occasions where something actually happens that hasn't been planned out. I think that obviously the idea is to paint these people as right-wing wackos is annoying because it always turns out in the end that they're not. I mean, we just had the No Kings riot / protest / whatever you want to call them, and it ran the gamut from totally pointless and totally useless to another 2020 Portland riot back home. So it is frustrating when you look at the people who are actually causing this type of damage, who are actually going out there and making a stink of things. And it certainly is not the right. The right very much has planned legal ways and political ways and non-violent ways of affecting change. I was just chatting with somebody earlier about abortion and how abortion was an issue that the right fought against legally and legislatively for 50 years. And that's how we got Dobbs. The left would have said, no, we're going to torch the city unless you do what we want you to do, or we're going to kill somebody. That's what they do.
No, I was just going to say that with these rallies, Doug, it seems like they've somehow tried to figure out a way, or they figured out a way to mobilize thousands of older people. And we talked about the older people earlier. And the reason being is they simply said this little phrase, they're going to take away your Social Security, which they're not. They've repeatedly said on Donald Trump's administration has repeatedly said that they're not going to touch Social Security at all. If anything, they're going to be reducing the taxes. But yet somehow the message from the Democrats through the media got through saying that, yes, they are. They're going to take your Social Security, so come out and support us.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, it's all based on total BS anyway, right? Like we don't ever particularly trust the media to be credible. I think that being said, it is interesting to watch who came out to these things, because generally you think, oh, protests, rallies, it's going to be younger people, it's going to be 30-somethings. But no, I mean, driving around D.C. yesterday when it was the military parade and all of that stuff, it was basically, not to offend anybody in the audience, it almost felt like an AARP meeting. It literally was like nobody above or under the age of 45 was there. And so you were basically looking at a bunch of, older folks going out there and fighting against what is a lie. Now, again, right. I think at the end of the day, this is a media issue just as much as it is a leftist policy position issue, because what is going out into the streets going to accomplish? Not much. When you basically say to Trump, hey, we're going to rally and protest and do all this stuff every day, you think that's actually going to change his policy? No. I think that Democrats and the left need to really fundamentally rethink their strategy to get the American people back on side, because doing this type of stuff, going out screaming about how Trump's an authoritarian, didn't work the first time. Burning the city down in Portland didn't work the first time. So what's the plan here, guys?
Yep. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to bring up the No Kings protests over the weekend. MSNBC said Trump thinks he's the king, so he shouldn't have a parade. Who does he think he is, right? And the NBC Today show celebrated the Britain's parade for an actual king with the king in the parade. So I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it is entirely frustrating that this type of stuff only seems to happen when a Republican takes office, right? When, Joe Biden was in charge and, doing his diktats from above, well, maybe, we don't know, might have been the auto pen.
Right.
It's, one of these things that nobody seems to come out and protest that. But when all of a sudden, the president, who happens to be a Republican, says things like, we're going to lower your taxes, we're going to, make things a little bit easier on you, we're going to do all of this stuff, all of a sudden the waterworks come out, all of a sudden cries of fascism, fire alarm, all of this stuff that doesn't really make sense, but for the left it somehow does.
Yep. You got a good mind there, Douglas Blair. Tell us a little bit about the Public Interest Legal Foundation, will you?
Well, I appreciate that compliment. I'm going to sit on that for a while. But Public Interest Legal Foundation, we are a 501c3 based out of Alexandria, Virginia, just off the road from Washington, D.C. And we make it our mission to go around the country and ensure that your ballot means something, that ballots are allowed, or voter rolls are clean, and that elections are following proper procedure. And I mean, we go everywhere. We went to Utah. We sued the lieutenant governor of Utah because they're not letting us see their voter rolls. We're currently engaged in litigation in Hawaii, litigation in Maine, litigation in Texas.
Wow.
We are basically doing it everywhere.
Good job, Doug. Keep it up. All right.
All right. Talk to you next week, guys.
He's on a mission. He's on a mission.
Secret Agent Douglas Blair with his own Thanos Peter gun. Sorry. Can't have it though. Okay, Ken. The chat box has exploded.
Good.
There's shrapnel
Everywhere.
Chat shrapnel everywhere. So let's do that next. The 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Read the polls, Jack.
On News Talk STL.
Read the polls, Jack. All right, so yesterday at 9 o'clock, there was a great show on News Talk STL. I hope you didn't miss it. It's called Serenity Wealth Now. But you know what I noticed, Ken? You know.
What? It was just full of fun with finance?
It was.
It was. I noticed it.
Crazy. Chris Cooper is the reason why, because Chris Cooper is fun with finance. He should have a shirt that says, Chris Cooper, I'm fun with finance. You know, like the little, my name is, you put the sticker on when you go to like a convention.
Yeah.
My name is Chris. And then real big should say fun with finance.
It would work.
He gets around to it eventually, but the good thing is he eases you into it because nobody wants to go and talk about their money for some reason, right?
Nope.
Everybody's got a lot of trepidation about it. I don't want to talk about money. What if I don't have my money? What if you think I'm an idiot because I haven't invested all this time?
And we can ask him about that because he's on this Thursday.
This Thursday?
Yes.
Love Chris. So he's going to come join us. Meanwhile, you get familiar with him with the book, The New Holistic Retirement. You can get it at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com. And don't miss Chris's great Sunday morning show at 9 o'clock called Serenity Wealth Now.
Again, it's Wednesday, actually, this week.
Well, what?
I got the wrong day.
All right, so it's Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Chris will join us. So go to serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now. Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Serenity Now!
On the next.
Larry Connors, USA.
My guest today, never Trumper John LaBoutiere. This is one interview you don't want to miss.
Larry Connors, USA.
Now, weeknights 6 until 8.
On News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019.
You're listening to the Vic Porcelli Show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Yo, Vic, how you doing?
You doing, British lady? Ken, I got a quick quiz for you.
Hey, okay.
Hey, okay. You just sound like you just don't care, Ken.
No, I do.
Okay, here's the quiz. Is Ponzi scheme named after a guy named Ponzi?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes.
Correct. Was boycott named after a guy named Boycott?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Finally, is the word shrapnel named after a guy named Shrapnel?
I think it was.
It was. Grant just sent me that information.
Oh, did he?
Ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He said the term shrapnel is indeed named after its inventor, Henry Shrapnel, a British Army officer who invented a type of artillery projectile filled with lead balls and bursting charge designed to scatter the balls all over enemy troops, not to mention scatter the troops' balls all over them. Anyway, thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. I love stuff like that.
Thanks, Grant.
Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chat box time. Let's do Facebook first. Oh, Scooter was in first this morning.
Oh.
No video today?
Oh.
Hey, okay, get out of Ken's ass, all right? He's got a lot of stuff to do here.
Oh, I don't care.
A lot of stuff to do.
He really doesn't bother me.
GMFFBH. Long live our president.
That's right.
May he reign well for 3.5 more years. Good morning, NTSTL family. News Talk STL family. Thank you, Kathleen. No kings because they're mostly special kind of queens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I have to read every one of Scooter's?
No.
There were no Kings protests in all 50 states. Crowd estimate in St. Peter's was 4,000. Do you believe that?
No.
In St. Charles County, do you believe that 4,000 people came out with no...
I want to see receipts. You cannot go on to a national morning show on television and say 5 million people showed up. You don't know that.
Well,
they didn't give us any numbers, nothing.
Scooter disagrees.
Oh, I know, totally.
At least that
I
many.
don't care, though.
At least that many in St. Louis. 4,000 downtown. I don't believe that either.
No.
5 million nationwide. Isn't that hard to believe, Mr. W? That's you.
Yeah, no, it's impossible. I want to. Okay, I'll believe it when he gives me hard numbers about the places.
So
you can't just roll that off your tongue and say, "Oh, see, it's fact."
Do you have any statistics on how many people had an 8647 sign in those crowds of people?
We don't.
Oh, Scooter should have it in his pocket.
He should.
Pocket calculator.
Absolutely.
Should tell us right away.
Absolutely.
Allison says the Libs refused to hold a primary and anointed Kamala without a single vote and attempted to remove Trump from state ballots after their illegal alien lawfare scheme failed. Then they throw a no kings party. So this guy in Minnesota, are they, how, like, I forget what you call it. I should know. I'm sorry, I don't. When you go vote in some states, you have to declare whether you're Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
I don't think they do that in Missouri. So how would they know that
You
he
mean
was
Minnesota?
registered? Yes. What do I keep saying?
Because you're from Missouri.
In Minnesota.
In Minnesota, right.
I want to see those stats.
Yeah, I'd like to see all of it. I'd like to see a lot of information about this thing that we're not seeing.
Yep. Good morning, Patriot Vic heads. The No Kings Party for President Trump was a reminder of why the majority of the country rejected Democrat tyranny 7 months ago.
I totally agree with that.
And I still think that's hysterical how NBC says, well, Trump thinks he's a king. What does he want a parade for? Oh, look, the King of England has a parade. He's a king.
Right.
He's really a king.
Right.
They're so stupid. They are so stupid. Senator Padilla was wearing a polo that identified him as a U.S. senator. Noam had met him before and testified before his committee. She didn't want him at her press conference. Okay. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. If somebody is having a press conference and they haven't got to the questions yet from the press, you keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
It's just courtesy. It's etiquette.
Right.
Don't come barging in and say, oh, Padilla, let me in.
Yeah, can I read one?
Yeah.
On Facebook. Okay, so Scooter says Belter didn't attend the No Kings protest. Doesn't sound like a supporter. Were the flyers part of his disguise? Okay, I think he had something else on his mind at the time, Scooter. He was probably planning to kill some people. So just keep that in mind.
And I'd like to know what you think about who he killed. He killed 2 Democrat representatives in Minnesota that both voted against the Democrat Party lines.
Right.
That's a coincidence?
Right.
Just a coincidence?
The only 2 Democrats.
Both of them, yeah. Crazy coincidence, Scooter. Ken, check your email. I sent you info on the union protest and pics. We already let it. We got a letter.
Yeah.
Rip that DoorDash food right out of your mouth. If you missed that crap earlier today, our contestant was Hakeem Jeffries, and he said that the Trump administration, no, pay attention now, literally ripping food out of children's mouths. Give me that. Don't bite me. Give me that food. Are you chewing something? No food for you. Give me that. Right out of their literally food ripper. Polls released last week show Trump underwater. Which polls is Ken referring to?
I have Now, what poll anywhere is saying Trump's underwater? That no one, not even the left-wing MSNBC has reported that.
Oh man, that guy, that guy that circles he's got the board and he circles this and
Oh
circles
yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's like driving them crazy over there at CNN.
Yeah, he is, because in all of his information, he's saying that Trump is actually gaining ground.
Allison's backing me up. He killed a Democrat that voted with Republicans to take health care away from illegal aliens. The polls show the Democrat Party has collapsed. There's also an anti-abortion element to the assassinations in Minnesota. Why, how vague of you, Scooter.
I know.
Good morning, Jensen, fellow Vic heads. Have a great week, everyone. You too.
Good morning, St. Louis.
KKK literally started by Democrats.
It was.
There's a literally for you.
That's a documented fact.
Literally?
Yeah. Literally.
Yes. Good morning, freedom fighters. Thanks, Tom. Good morning, Vic Head Patriots. Hope everyone had a good Father's Day. I did have a good Father's Day.
I did too, man.
Spent the whole day with my wife.
You know, my daughter made me from, she's up in Utah, right? So she sends me this letter, and I said, all I want is a card from you. Well, she drew a card of Nico and had a really nice long letter in it. And then she made this stamp. It said Ken Williams. It was a stamp that I can use on everything. She made it by hand. It was so cool.
My wife made me aiolio.
Yeah, she did.
With extra leech. Anchovies. Good morning, everybody. Allison says, hello. Vic Porcelli, Ken Williams. I took my dad to see the D-Day movie at the Omnimax at the Science Center yesterday. It was really good. I recommend it. I could never have taken my dad to anything like that. I didn't even tell him that the movie Saving Private Ryan existed. I didn't even tell him it existed.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
What a great idea, though, if you can do that. Gosh, I would love to have. If my dad was here right now, it would be a different story. The
people of Israel are strong, resilient people. Yes, they are. Israel doesn't seem concerned with civilian fatalities in Iran. Scooter,
stop
edstoiding us, will you?
But it's just
Israel strikes are precision strikes on Iranian leaders.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Iran is just plopping bombs into
wherever they
doesn't
possibly
matter.
can, right?
And let's not forget our buddy Chris is still there.
You must have got manure for your brains.
Oh, Amy. Okay, I thunderstealed on Amy. Sorry. I'm gonna just skip all the rest of the Scooter.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, Kathleen. Israel is using precision. Oh, I just stole Allison's thunder again. Good morning. Can y'all bring reality into our life every day? Keep up the great. Hey, what about me? Am I reading this right? Good morning.
We've united the
Asia.
I
win. Good morning, Ken. You all really bring reality into our life every day. What the hell? Keep up the great fight, spreading the truth over the airwaves. God bless you and Vic. Man,
you say
and your little pet.
Who was that?
Your little pet Italian Vic. God.
Hey, how you doing?
A little bit of respect. Kimberly Kowalski says, I'm still trying to track down the childhood of Vance Bolter. What high school did he attend? Strange man named Ralph Bolter, who was FBI SAC from Minneapolis and had lots of internationals on his resume. Are they related?
That's
Wow.
interesting.
Look at Kimberly digging in deep, huh?
I like that a lot.
Too. All right.
Kimberly, if you come up with more information, send it.
Shoot them our way.
NewstalkSTL.com.
This way we don't have to work. You can just do our work for us. We'll take
Exactly
over.
right.
Duke is in first this morning.
Go,
Good
Duke.
morning, all you freedom fighting patriot Vic heads. Whoosh, my brothers and sisters.
Whoosh.
Good morning, Vic heads. CNN called the assassin an evangelical Christian.
Oh, see, why does anyone watch them anymore? They have zero credibility any longer.
Dozens of listeners.
Tens, I tell you.
And we still don't know anything about Thomas Crooks.
No, nothing. But that doesn't matter, though.
Somehow,
you know why? Because Donald Trump was being assassinated. That's
minutes after this guy shot two representatives in Minnesota, we knew his entire life.
Hundreds of documents available now.
And the more I think about it, the more stinky it is. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it just sucks.
Trace, Ed Soit says, I'm Trace. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. No fair election.
No peace.
No fair tariffs.
No peace.
Good morning, all you beautiful MAGA. I don't know who this is. I'm just ultra patriotic, deplorable, garbage, degenerate, freedom fighting, God fearing, Vic head weirdos. Make them do like Jerry Lewis one day. I watched the entire parade on RSBN, Right Side Broadcast Network.
Yeah, so did I.
I was rather disappointed with the lack of marching from so many of the troops. Lots of them seemed to just be walking. I did notice that too, and I didn't like that either.
I saw some that were very much in line, but then there were some that weren't, and I was like, why are they doing that?
I would think you shouldn't do that, no matter where you're marching.
Yeah, you should be
especially in front of your commander-in-chief.
You should be in line with the person who's in the lead. There was always one person in front, and I think you should have been following that person. But
left,
well, yeah,
left, right.
Don't they teach them that? They still teach them that, I'm sure.
I don't know. It was in Stripes. That's where I get all my military information from the movie Stripes.
Stripes,
Bill
great,
Murray,
great.
And Harold Ramis. We saw and noticed the same thing marching. Any of the hand-wringing naysayers harping about goose-stepping in Trump's dictatorship army have absolutely zero to be concerned about. I agree with that. The bands seemed more in step than the troops did. The bands are great, by the way.
The band, whatever band was playing all those covers, was doing a great job. They were right in time and everything.
Over the weekend in Hawaii, they had a parade to commemorate King Kamehameha. No kidding, for real. Hilarious. He's a huge deal in Hawaii. He's king. That's the point.
Weird. Super weird. Okay.
Yep. But how ironic. The American Red Cross was on the list that supported the riots and protests.
We need to find out more about the American Red Cross. They've been so deep in the NGOs and USAID. It's just amazing. And the UN.
What do you think about Salvation Army? Same thing. Just take a look. Take a look at what they're doing.
Yeah, Salvation Army. I used to be a person involved with that, with the Salvation Army, but later they came out with this extreme DEI attitude. And it's like, what's going on over there?
I haven't donated to the Red Cross for years, says 101. Duke says, I think the troops forgot how to march. They looked sloppy, and some didn't turn their heads toward the president and other leaders. I was disappointed in that, says 101. I wonder if they forgot or it was the discipline of the march ever instilled in them in the first place. Left, 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 right, left.
They should have been more, I don't know. They should have been.
I'm old and never forgot how to march. I'm probably not too great at it anymore because my body's worn out. I hear you, man. I march 20 feet and I got to sit down. That's Crockett. Boop. When my brother was in Vietnam, he said he needed a new shaving kit. The Red Cross wanted to sell him one. The Salvation Army gave him one for free. There's part of our answer right there.
Yeah.
Good morning from Cubist. Hi, Cubist. How you doing? Hakeem Louis Jeffries.
That guy is so far off base.
Hakalugi. Loogie.
Hakalugi. Hakeem Hakalugi.
Everybody's laughing. Everybody's fine. Donald Trump stole my McDonald's Happy Meal. They ripped a Slim.
They ripped the Happy Meal out of my arms.
Oh.
Ripped. It's because Hakeem Jeffries says they ripped whatever.
Oh, got it.
Fill in the blank. Man.
Got it. Okay.
So those extreme MAGA Republicans ripped something.
Check our time for me.
Oh,
they ripped the Slim Jim out of my mouth and put me back on a plantation. To leave Israel, he can probably take a ferry to Cyprus and leave there. Oh, yeah. I'm sure it's really easy to call your travel agent when bombs are coming. Hey, get me on a ferry to Cyprus. That dog been taking classes on hood speak. That's Jasmine. I am totally serious. I cannot listen to Crockett's voice. I have to turn down the sound for a few minutes until I'm sure it's over.
It's painful.
That's from Sandra, who also said, hey, if you guys are going to be funny, can you give me a warning because she almost burned herself while she was cooking because she was laughing so hard at that.
Sorry, Sandra.
So, okay. I don't know how we're going to do that. Okay, Sandra, here
we
comes the
go.
funny. Crockett was just asked to come back to her alma mater to teach English and grammar. Vic, baby. They're talking about all those invisible Nazi goose-stepping, jack-booted thugs. They're all going
we
around.
in these hot-ass streets, honey.
They're all going around assassinating innocent leftists. Duh. Oh, my God. Really, Ken? I tried
This is taking forever.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I thought we left plenty of time. I'm still scrolling.
Get me out of here!
Okay. Thank you so much for having the record player on at night to listen to us this morning.
Make sure you have the record player on at night.
I don't know what to do. I tried to
keep it up, man. Just go through them as much as you can. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Jamie Allman, 3 Martini Lunch is next. Kenny and Al, see you tomorrow at 9 on News Talk STL. Number 1 for live and local conservative talk. Have a great Monday.
Whoosh.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
Who needs a vacation? Are you ready for an unforgettable getaway? Start packing your bags because Branson, Missouri, the vacation and entertainment capital of the U.S., is calling your name. For just $99 per person, here's what you get. A full 3-day, 2-night stay in a luxury resort hotel. A delicious full breakfast buffet every morning you're here. And when you call right now, free show tickets worth up to $100. That's right. Free show tickets to an award-winning show on us. You don't have to leave the country for an amazing vacation. You can drive or fly to Branson and have an incredible time. Whether you bring in the whole family or just planning a romantic escape, this trip is built for you. We guarantee you'll love Branson. This is not a timeshare. It's just an unbeatable vacation deal for only $99 per person. You book now, you can use your tickets anytime this year. You don't even need to know your travel dates to lock in the special price. Hurry, because this offer won't last long. Call our Branson vacation experts today.
800-547-5331. 800-547-5331. 800-547-5331. That's 800-547-5331.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Vance Poulter, the man suspected of killing a Minnesota lawmaker and wounding another, is now in custody. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says they took the step of pre-charging the suspect.
On Saturday, our office filed charges against Mr. Bolton for second-degree murder and attempted murder, allowing us to obtain a nationwide arrest warrant, which would allow law enforcement across the country to arrest him.
Bolter has been charged with 2 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Leaders of some of the world's biggest economies are in Canada for a Group of 7 summit, with the Israel-Iran conflict featured prominently in the background.
President Trump in recent days vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iran.